All right. So, hey, we got Joe Rapisarda tonight.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming down.
Terry, pleasure meeting you.
Or
You too, man. Honestly.
Whatever it may be.
As I learned 102nd, so.
Yeah, man. When I hear 102nd, it just feels good right here. It really does.
Yeah. And I didn't know you prior to this. And when I first heard about the podcast, your story that you put on your YouTube channel was one of the first things I learned.
Oh, cool.
So I heard your story, learned that you were in the 102nd. And yeah, so drew a quick relationship to you from the 102nd. And I guess that's where my story begins, is the 102nd. So I joined the Army in 2009. Prior to being able to enlist in the infantry, I tried becoming an MP first because my parents
I did the same thing.
wanted nothing to do with me trying to be an 11 Bravo.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you can't be infantry. So I was like, all right, whatever. And my girlfriend at the time, my now wife, her cousin was an MP, had just gotten back from Iraq. He was a dog handler. So I thought that was great. And at this time I was 17, so I was still under 18. Go through the recruiting process. They tell me, yeah, no problem. We got a dog handling contract for you. This and that. I go through the security clearance. I get up to MEPS, go to sign my contract. Hold on. For whatever reason, they told me at that time, like, you can't have a sidearm because you're too young. And I was like, are you kidding me? I went through this entire process. I got a secret security clearance, and like, you guys are waiting until now. I'm in the office with the recruiter, like where you put your thumb on there to sign it.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. He's like, well, we have this, instead of that position, we have this truck driving role, or, this 88 mic role or something. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And I got up, left the office. I was up in Springfield, and went into the bathroom, called up the infantry recruiter. I was like, all right, man, I want to be an 11 Bravo. And he's like, all right, come on down. We got you in. And I joined the 102nd that October of 2009, shipped off to basic in January 2010. These guys had just gone over and got out of basic in April. And then by that time, I was trying to get on as the backfills going overseas, and that wasn't happening. So I sat on rear D, heard the stories of when you guys were over there and the shit that you guys got into. And it was super motivating for me, but it also sucked because I was like sitting back in rear D, and man, you're like, yeah, especially when you come out of basic, you're on that high. You just want to keep going.
You just want to go. Yeah.
Yeah. So back here supporting you guys, but I had a lot of good mentors in Charlie Company at that time. Rob Stafford sticks out. A lot of the old timers that didn't go with you guys, but had gone in 2006 with them. Okay. And at that time, I was real gung ho, and I just wanted to do more and more. And I had known a guy that had joined the 19th group, John Phelan, who was in SF, and one of my mentors was best friends with him. And at that time, they were like, "Yeah, man, go for it." They were like, "19th group is up there out of Newport.
Oh yeah,
we can get you a tryout slot
right out of Rhode Island."
Right, and I was at that time I was 17 turning 18, so they got me a slot to go do a tryout with the group, and I went up there, cold rainy day, did the run, did the push-ups, everything. Get into the office with the recruiter up there, and he was like, we love it, but you're too young, kid. And once again, I was like, oh man, I had no clue that there was an age cutoff for it.
It was probably not too young. It was more like not enough experience.
That's exactly. This was exactly it. Yep. And that's what they said. Like, you're young, we would want more experience. And this was in winter 2010. Okay. And he said to me in the office, we got an Airborne Infantry Company in Rhode Island that's deploying in 10 months.
Yeah.
Go with those guys. We'll keep your packet, come back. If this is what you want to do, you can come back to us, and then we'll consider it then. And I said, all right, sign me up. and that's how I ended up in Charlie Company and transferred over to the unit in January 2011, I think. Yep. And at that time, they had come, as I just learned, Terry, you were in LERS too, had gone from LERS, and they were building numbers up from that deployment. Yeah. I think by the time I got in, there was like 60 guys. Something like that.
Yeah, it was tough.
PFC, yeah. And and then it went from there. And And I couldn't, looking back now, couldn't be happier that I wound up in that company.
Yeah.
You know, definitely Rhode Island, Charlie Company, the Lurs, well respected from anyone that I've met in the Army, and the best group of guys that I've served with. And, you know, to this day, I'm really thankful that I wound up in that company. 102nd, just as much history, right? Just as much history, just as much good dudes. I know
It's
a lot
more
of
of
them.
a time frame thing. It was just
Exactly.
like, you know, hey, you know, you got to do the thing. You know, you got to get on when you can.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. But a lot of my leaders were prior LURS guys, and you know, I hear the stories from the LURS days, and
Oh yeah.
I'm proud that some of it, because I got to
No,
experience a little window, but not
Yeah, no,
anything from what I hear from those days.
I think it's still got like something like in the unit, like it's got like some like still some salt in the unit. Like it's still there. It's just a matter of like it's not as bad as it was, but there's still something there. You know,
It's weird because every time you talk to somebody like, you know, from back in the day, it's just like you just physically can feel it. It's like you know, the
remember
words are
that
just
time?
heavy. Yeah.
but yeah, no, Seco is you know, I deployed with you as well, but obviously a different platoon. But yeah, it was a great experience. So
The lead up to our deployment, you know, I this is another thing I reflect on. And Lateo was on one of the prior episodes. Lateo was one of my team leaders prior to going overseas, and I always remember the year leading up to stepping off, being told this is all for a reason. You know, as much as it sucked with the training and the ruck runs and the boots and utes and everything
getting destroyed, Yeah.
you know, just being reminded that when you get over there, it's going to be this times 10 kind of thing. And that was definitely true. You know, we didn't see a lot of combat. However, we walked the walk. We did all the foot patrols, doing like 15-mile foot patrols. We climbed the mountains. We sat with the people. And I definitely remember being on patrols and just being so broke off tired. You know, like just, oh my God, exhausted. And thinking back and being glad, though, that I was trained up properly leading into it. Because I was like, man, if I wasn't, how much more would this have sucked? Probably a lot more. But,
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Terry, for you, so you were a LURS prior to going over to Connecticut for that deployment?
I was with the LURS, but I don't like to say I was part of the LURS. I was there. I was more like visiting, you know? I was there for like 6 months. And I would have stayed, but I heard Connecticut was deploying, and then I was like, sign me up, coach. Put me in the game. Because I don't know, did you feel like you were like, fuck, I'm going to miss the war if I don't go now? Did you have that feeling?
I feel like
For sure.
I think we all had that feeling because I think at like all of our times, because I got in 2007 and everybody was like, yeah, we're deploying, we're doing this, we're doing that, and then we didn't deploy. And I'm like, fuck, like whatever. And it's because like that's what you join up to do. You're like, fuck, I want to go.
At least in infantry.
Especially infantry,
and I was like, I wanted to play so bad with you guys when you guys fucking shipped off. But it just like the timing just didn't like, it was just like when I heard about it, it was like too fast for me.
Okay.
And I was just like just whatever situation that I had at the time, I don't even remember. It was like, I'm going to do this. And then it just didn't work. But anyway.
It was so fast, Capaldi. Because you know Capaldi, he loves like start of the pot, start shit. And he even said, he was like, when he said it to me, he didn't think I was going to say yes. I talked to First Sergeant Shimkus one day, and he advised me not to. He was like, you're gonna have your chance. There's no point like rushing death.
Roll the dice.
Right? Yeah. And then I went anyways, and I was like, yeah, Capaldi, I'll go. And he was just like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, I'll go. Like he thought I was gonna like, take forever to think about it. It's like, no, like that's why you joined.
That's why I joined to go do it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I had the same thing. Like September 11th happened. I was in 4th grade. I remember growing up in middle school, watching, you know, the news and seeing Iraq pop off and Afghanistan. Getting into high school, I joined junior ROTC out of New Britain, Connecticut. You know, as a freshman, trying to get as involved as much as I could, watching it through high school and thinking like, man, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss it. And then getting in, and then I missed the deployment that you guys went on.
Yeah.
In that same thought. And I think that probably partially drove me towards joining 143rd, was to actually get on a rotation.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing for you.
It makes it vice
opposite.
versa.
Yeah.
You joined Rhode Island when I joined Connecticut.
Yeah. Well, you know, time
To get out
frames,
some
you
shit,
know.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I think it's common. But I'm glad that I am glad that I got a rotation over there. You know, and then when we went over in 2012, you know, thinking, well, this is the last rotation. And sure enough, it wasn't. You know, it was just the peak of the pendulum. And
we're thinking like, oh shit, this is gonna be the end of the war. Like, just gonna do the thing.
6 years later, you know, it's still going on. My brother-in-law at that time, my two brother-in-laws were younger. I don't know, they're probably in middle school or something like that by the time I went over, and they're both in the military now. My oldest brother-in-law is a first lieutenant in 10th Mountain in northern Iraq right now in Erbil on his second pump. The younger one is in the Air Force, has been to Romania. He was in South Korea. But the one in the Army was in Afghanistan down in Helmand in 2012. One of the last guys out there in that province that had pulled out. It was crazy. I was talking to him then, and I was like, man, I thought in 2012 that was it. You know, we were closing up the bases, and he was there in 2020. But when he was in there in 2020, it was wild. At that point, there was just no more resupply coming in. You know, they were working off whatever they had left in that base that they had consolidated back down to.
Yeah.
Because the bases at that point had just shrunk up. They just shrunk up to the middle.
Yeah, so you didn't have like outposts. You didn't have anything.
Yep.
It was just more like, hey, I have these big bases in certain areas.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then getting equipment for like fixing trucks and stuff like that, parts, nothing's coming in.
Right.
And especially with COVID, they locked everything down. So literally nothing's coming on resupply. So from what I heard from him, it was like scrapping vehicles, trying to put together whatever you can, being
like,
resourceful as we are.
It's like the opposite of like when they originally went in, like up-armored Humvees, like into Iraq originally,
Yes.
like up-armored Humvees, but throw sandbags in there.
Yeah.
Like, or not up-armored, but like throw sandbags in there, and now they're up-armored. It's kind of like the opposite effect now.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's
Which is wild. I'm glad that I didn't experience the Humvees either. You know, I remember our primo watching the IED videos of like a Humvee getting tossed up, whatever, 30 feet in the air.
It's crazy.
By the time we got over there, we had the Mat V's and the you know, the nicer trucks and stuff like that.
But
yes.
I remember like showing up in, I think it was Bagram. We did like the IED lane, and like that Mat V was just, there was like a Mat V like cut in half, and I'm like, I don't really want to be in that.
Yeah.
It was like legit Mat V, just like sliced up the middle.
Yeah.
I'm
Did you
like,
guys
oh,
ever
that's not good.
feel like during that kind of training and stuff that like it could be you? Because I always felt like it's, oh man, hopefully it doesn't happen to you. Like, you know what I mean? I just never felt like I was gonna be the
No,
guy.
I didn't feel like it was me.
You never wanted to think of it that
Like
way.
I never,
I felt
never,
invincible.
I never thought it was me. I was just like,
Yeah.
nah, it's
gonna be somebody else. Yeah.
Wow, that sucks. You know?
Yeah.
But you guys had Mat V's, and then did you guys have RGs, or did you guys have like Max Pros, or
No, we had the Mat V, that Jeep
that was it,
Wrangler
right?
looking thing.
That was it.
4 of those.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so those were
But you guys weren't in them that much, right?
not much. Not much.
So that's good.
Yeah, we were using them to come back to. So we were in Uruzgan province. It was a little different. By the time we got overseas, 3rd Platoon had been split up into squad-sized elements and pushed out to support different parts of that province at that time. So it was a little different for us. You know, the other platoons kind of stuck together, whereas we were pushed out in separate squads. So it was kind of you got real close with your squad.
Yeah. So Uruzgan, just for kind of like, it's essentially like right south of Mazar Sharif, right? And then
pretty much. So it's north of Kandahar and east of Helmand.
Oh, okay.
West
so
of Zabul.
You're like RC.
Consider RC.
West?
No, I think it was still considered RC South.
RC
But
South.
it was weird.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
like on the line of east and south.
okay, yeah. So I'm like totally mixed up.
So it was interesting terrain. Flat deserts, big mountains that were no trees. It would look like desert, ragged mountains.
Yeah.
And then valleys. And the valleys were all lush and green, and that's where all of the villages were and stuff.
Yeah.
So the main base in Uruzgan was Tarankot.
Yeah.
Let me tap on that table like you said. Tarankot, and we were just north of TK, about 2 to 3 hour drive through the desert in a valley called Chora Valley, and yeah, so you would you fly into Tarankot. When we came in country, we flew into Kandahar. From Kandahar, took a bird over to Tarankot. In TK, that's where we trucked up, drove north through the desert. And then once you get into the Chora Valley, it's kind of wild. Like you're driving, you just see desert and mountains. And then you crest this little like ledge and you're just like, oh my God, there's a valley here that's flowing through. And yeah, we had a patrol base, Mirwaz. That's where we were out of. Australian run. That entire province was Australian run. That was another different thing with Ruzgan is our U.S. element was supporting the Australians. Mm-hmm. So on that patrol base, there was, I don't know, maybe like 80 Australians or so. Infantry, diggers, so like IED guys, and then like engineers, builders.
Yeah.
So the battle space owners, or
They're the battle space owners.
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And my squad size Army element was running the PRT mission out of that area, but also supporting them with, additional needs and things like this. So different. We had my squad went up north to FOB Mirwaz, patrol base Mirwaz. We had a squad out west in the western part of the province over near the Helmand border. That was like Ditto, Ventura. Yeah. We had another squad that went out to Anaconda. That was like Dunn and McKillop and those guys. And then we had a squad size element that stayed back in TK, in Tarankot. So it was unique. It was good. I liked, it was nice in the sense that there was only a squad of us. So when we were on base, there was really no one bothering us. Rionda was like the squad leader.
Well, so he was bothering you.
Yeah.
Shout out to Keith Rionda.
Keith. Love you, man. Yeah, so he was the the main guy in charge, which was pretty good. We had an Army staff sergeant who was a civil affairs guy. We had an Australian civilian who was a part of AusAid, so kind of like USAID.
Yeah,
it's an Australian version. Yeah. So he was the liaison to the Australian government, who was providing funding into that valley for bridge work, road work, to try to support the locals with money. And then we had a Navy lieutenant who was kind of like our PL. Yeah, it's one of the downfalls and one of the critiques of that deployment is when 3rd Platoon got over there, they stripped away all of our leadership, and we fell under Navy chain of command, a totally different chain of command.
It sounds so stupid. Like
that's how the PRTs worked. It was like, hey, you have this, like, all right, you guys are the security element, and then we have this leadership echelon, like that is covering the security element plus all the engineers and this and that, and it was like that's how the PRT worked. It was
kind of crazy. You think about it like infantry elements being run by non-tactical personnel.
Exactly. It sounds so obvious saying it out loud, but
it's terrible. No, it's terrible.
And this is kind of, when I do an after action review now, that's where things I think started to go wrong.
Yeah.
Really, realistically. And that's where, Lateo got sent out. We showed up.
Well, that was the problem though, is that Lateo was trying to be like the guy that was like, hey, like tactically sound. Mm-hmm. However, like the leadership didn't like that because he essentially like was like, hey, like this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong.
Yeah.
And they were like, nope, get the fuck out. Like you're fucking, yeah.
Yeah, and that all started from pre-mob. You know, a lot of the training that we were doing in pre-mob leading up to going overseas.
Oh no.
They at that time, you know, they started to recognize, you know, the aggressiveness, the natural aggressiveness that an infantry unit brings, of course, right?
Heart,
Violence of action.
I already feel it.
And that wasn't liked. And
So pre-mob, you're already getting leadership from a bunch of dudes who don't know how to handle infantrymen.
Yeah, because
They got small dick problems right now.
Well, yeah, because exactly. So we deployed as a unit, right? We deployed to pre-mob.
Right.
We go to mob, and then you get assigned your PRT. And then so each platoon essentially goes to this PRT, and then the PRT gets filled with like whatever leadership plus like the engineers and like this and that, whatever. Right. And like we got filled with like Air Force, like
right.
and it was like, you know, it was kind of cool. They were trying to figure it out. Like it worked out, but like I literally had like the sergeant major was I want to say like a tanker or something or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, and it was just like, hey, yeah, these are your guys, like do whatever. And then you go overseas, you guys at the security element, cool, like do it. And then it's like, well, there's no like tactical piece there.
Right, because they don't know how to do tactical.
You're not a battle space owner, so you don't have any like people that are like trying to like secure the areas or like oversee like what's going on in the actual province or like areas. They're just trying to like, hey, let's go build a bridge.
Right, because you just put front security. Okay.
Yeah. So like, all right, let's go build a bridge. But like, what does that building a bridge do? Like, we don't know because we don't like.
Well, there's good there. I will say there's good there. There's the whole heart to mind things.
It was definitely good.
Yeah.
It's just that, all right, let's go build this bridge. Like, but we're just providing security for this bridge. Mm-hmm. And you guys, hey, are like trying to do this bridge, but who are you talking to? Who's telling you to do it? Like, and then when we tell you to like get in the trucks because this is going bad, you need to actually do it.
Right.
You know, so like it's kind of like a weird,
it's
just a really weird thing.
It's this forgetfulness that you're still in a combat zone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the infantry is there to provide security and do a job because we're in a combat zone.
They're treating it like it's some sort of construction site where they're like, oh, let's all do this and that.
Yeah. So I think from you know, from my squad's perspective and especially you know, Ian out there, love you, bro. There was an early. There was for him. There was just this. It was like Navy leadership was out to get him from the start, and once we got into our on actually boots on ground on the patrol base running patrols, that's when they pulled him from us and they sent him up north for political reasons or whatever reason it might be.
They were like, oh, wait, need somebody to do a Kabul mission.
Yeah,
let's grab whoever we don't want here now.
They're trying to establish dominance.
Yeah, no, like, they just didn't want somebody like essentially causing problems or like.
Well, it sounds to me like Ian knew what he was doing.
Yeah, Ian knew what he was doing. Mm-hmm. However, they didn't like that. He knew more than them.
Right, and the young Joes would follow.
Yeah.
And I think this is probably a good time to say that, you know, these are all my personal views, my experiences.
Oh yeah.
You know,
sure.
And I'm glad that more guys are coming on the show.
Yeah, but
to share their
but you were also a PFC at the time, right?
I was. Yeah, I was. I was a specialist.
But your experience is
it's my team leader.
Like, yeah, he's your team leader.
Well, you're not the first person to say it.
And he gets ripped from you essentially. Like he's with you the old pre-mob prior to going there.
Yeah.
So now he's like with you in the unit the entire time, and then you go to pre-mob. They start like messing with him, and then you go overseas, and then they rip him from you.
Yeah,
at the time we needed him the most.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the most important thing.
Because he was maybe probably like the only one that had been in Afghanistan at that point.
Three
Maybe like
times by then.
The second most senior. Keith,
like
Keith,
in your
Keith
yeah,
had
but
done,
in your squad though.
in my
He was-
squad, yeah. Keith was
so Keith
2
was
times
with you,
deployed,
and then
had a lot of experience, sniper school,
Yeah.
real legit squared
so,
away.
So like him and
Ian-
Lateo were like the guys that like
Dude.
knew their shit,
Yeah.
and like knew what was going on
Exactly.
And then the fucking PRT was like,
Yeah.
fuck you,
Yeah.
like
and Ian, seasoned guy coming off of a heavy combat deployment with you guys and being Ranger tapped, coming out of Ranger school, that experience was really needed on the ground. And that was just, pulled from us. And that was, reflecting back now, again, one of the first signs of leadership mistakes, I think. And yeah, so I was a specialist. I was a saw gunner at that time.
How early was that into the deployment when they took Lateo?
2 weeks,
Fuck.
It-
That is
yeah,
a week and a half,
vibes.
2 weeks in country.
Jesus.
Yeah, and I ended up backfilling his slot as a team leader. So I was Bravo team leader at that time. Costa was Alpha team leader. Lateo was Bravo team leader.
It's a lot of stress.
Yeah, Keith was squad leader, and I remember, the night before he left, when we got the word that he was going, when he told me I was going to be taking his slot, he said, he sat me down and he gave me advice, and he said, whatever happens this year, take a tactical pause in the situation, make a decision, and stick with it. And gave me a lot of words of wisdom, and that was it. And then he was off. And sure enough,
I feel like it's a sad movie, man. I'm just playing in my head.
it's wild, man.
That's- dude.
It's crazy. It's
you can't
messed
make
up.
this shit up.
You're like
it's-
literally.
It's like real life stuff.
People don't
like,
understand. Like when you're a Joe and your team leader is like he's like your big
He's
brother.
your god. He's your guy. Like
Ye-
he's
yeah.
your like your.
He's your
He's
big
your
brother,
shit,
right?
man.
And then your squad leader.
He's like your
is the
dad.
Well, I would say the squad leader is more
Oh,
like dad.
yeah. Squad
Who's
leader is
constantly
like
trying to
squad
crush you.
leader is your brother, that older brother,
Yeah.
and then like the platoon
Team
sergeant.
leader is like the good brother, the one that pats you in the head, tells you how to how to throw the ball correctly, to get it right next time.
Yeah.
And then like you're on fucking deployment in a war zone, trained to fucking get ready, expecting to fucking possibly most likely kill people, and they take the dude who you've been following and learning from, and now it's like, all right, deuces, and he's just like patting your head. It's like, I gotta go. Like I don't know, like you're setting me off. That's fucking horrible.
And he wanted to be there too. We all knew that.
Oh, yeah.
And we still do.
Oh, he said it. He said it loud.
And even when we talk, even now, that's something that I think we all intimately hold close, is that he was stripped from us, and we lost a valuable asset on the ground, one of the most valuable assets on the ground. So, I mean, with that being said, when he did leave, I do think that the squad pulled together. We did what we had to do, and we made it home with everyone alive, which was huge because we did take casualties at deployment, and so we did exactly what he trained us to do.
Yeah.
But it still sucks that he was pulled from us in that sense, and that leads us, not literally 3 weeks later, we had that suicide attack that happened on the squad.
Yeah.
And that was right at the beginning of deployment. That was in, I don't know, the first week of February. Really, February, March, first week of March, I think. And and so it became real right after that. It became very real right after that. That's another story that I wanted to come on about, is because our side hasn't really been talked about publicly. Our side has not been documented publicly online. Dave's, so the event, and I'm glad that there's other guys that are going to be coming on to talk about, their experiences and their incident and everything. This is from my personal view. But yeah, so 3 weeks, a month in country. I was sent to Kandahar the day before the incident for a week, because I was tasked out. After I became team leader, I was tasked out to be our EWO, our electronic warfare operator, for the jamming systems and stuff. So I got flown out, and the next day and the training was actually pretty good. It was a week long. It was you needed a top secret security clearance, which I think is why I got picked for it. It was just 40 hours of class work. You had to leave your notes in there and everything, and then you got tested at the end of the week. So I was trained up to test and maintenance all of our jammers. So the jammers on the trucks, and then the jammers for dismounted personnel. And the next day, the second day that I was in CAF, I come out of class, or I get pulled out of class early, and our rep, says, "Hey, your guys are coming in on bird right now, medevac bird." And I'm like, "Oh shit, what's up?" And he's like, "We don't really know yet. There's 4 of them, but they're coming in. We'll find out more once we get to the hospital. We'll get there before them." And we get to the hospital and CAF, and they have the weapon check-in desk to like turn in your weapons. Fuck out of here.
Okay.
Put my shirt over my weapon. You want me to like not have my weapon inside this freaking, in a combat zone? And these guys come off the bird all fucked up. So they got hit by a suicide bomber. The kid was probably 6 to 10 years old. Child suicide bomber. Apparently it was the best video and the first video the military had of an actual child suicide bomber or a suicide bomber on film.
Oh, shit.
And he detonated himself on a patrol. They were coming back to the patrol base from the, we called it the White Compound. So it was not far from the patrol base, only a few hundred meters down in the center of town, doing a foot patrol back, only about, maybe 100 meters from the base. Get hit by this kid, and the kid detonated himself in the middle of patrol, where and this is kind of where I don't what if, and I think after this experience I learned to not what if a situation, but he detonated himself in the middle of patrol where the Bravo team leader normally at with the medic, and he hit Dave Savage, who was the Australian civilian, the Ausaid guy, a Marine, Hunter, our medic, and this kid Morton, who we had attached to us for that patrol, who was a truck driver. And and so these guys get hit, and Dave totally gets blown to pieces. Hunter gets blown up. Everyone survived miraculously. But this story with Dave, because he was the first and only Australian civilian to be wounded in combat in Afghanistan. So it's been big news in Australia. It's been on their 60 Minutes. It's been a really big deal over there with him, because the government is threatening they are taking away his benefits because of this investigation that happened after the incident. Now 10 years later, the government's trying to tell him that he was like too fat for his body armor. All this stuff saying kind of like that we're not responsible for your medical expenses now, because kind of like this happened. This was your fault.
They're trying to find a way out of it, like a insurance company.
Yeah. Which is why it's made a lot of big press over there. But our side kind of has been hush hush, and no one's really said anything. And
why is that?
So it's been after the incident. I think it was a big deal politically. That video went all the way up to General Mattis at that time in country. It had been used, from what I understand, as training footage for troops coming in after that, kind of what to look out for.
Yeah.
And from my perspective on the squad, it was just something that, and when you come home from deployment, you just don't talk about some stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of one of those things.
That's
That's
why we're here.
Yeah. So it's become this really politicized type of event.
Yeah.
But, watching one side of the story all these years now has just been frustrating. And it's because if you watch the content that's about it, kind of like makes
through
us look
Australia
like
or like
Yeah. It does kind of like make us look like shit. I mean, the truth of the situation is that, there was a failure there that day, right? There could have been more that could have been done. However, I'm going to just kind of stop you there. Just like, all right, what could have been done? All right, you shoot a kid. This is the point.
Okay.
Yes.
Like, that's what could have been done, right? You shoot this kid that's coming in your patrol, right? 10 years old, like 9 years old, and you're like, hey, get out of here. Like, and this kid is just so, dead set on doing it because he's been trained to do it and been, talked about, and like that's his like, you have to do it because that's like your thing.
Yeah.
And it's just it's so, like the only option is to go shoot the kid, right? Like 10 years old, go shoot the kid. And none of us are gonna. I mean, not none of us, but like, it's a very hard thing for us to do that. And yeah, it's terrible. So like, I mean, you were at CAF at the time, right? So what was your experience when like the birds started coming in? Like what happened after that?
Yeah. So, and I gotta say, like that experience opened my eyes to like trauma surgeons and the docs that are in these hospitals. It's crazy what they do, in the people they save in those situations. They were good. So we checked into the hospital. The nurses and stuff were really good about it. They got us into the triage room, right next to the LZ where the Blackhawks come in. And
I was down like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, we got the GoPro going.
Actually, yeah, just keep going. I'll restart it because I'd rather have the good footage.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll pause so you put it back on.
That's crazy, man.
I'm pretty the last couple of years of trying to create content. I could pick up right where I left off.
That is just bananas, man.
Yeah, so the medical personnel were really good. We got there before the bird landed, so so we show up. They bring me back into the triage room, right where they roll them in from the LZ. At that time I'm asking more questions. I'm like, well, what happened? Oh, there's 4 of them on the bird. They're coming in. Who was on the bird? The medic and like 3 other guys. And in my head, I'm like, man, if the medic's on that bird, something must have gone down because he shouldn't be on that bird. Yeah. And they bring us in the back room, and the doors open up, and they come rolling in, and it was wild, man. Dave was the first one that came rolling in, and I just remember blood dripping off the gurney, just bandages everywhere, so he comes rolling by, he's all fucked up, and I'm like, okay, well that's Dave. At first I wonder if I thought they got into a tick, so I thought they got into a gunfight, and I was like, okay, maybe guys got some gunshot wounds. He comes rolling in, and I'm like, all right, no, that's not gunshot wounds, that's a bomb that went off. And and Hunter comes rolling in, and he's emotional, and it's chaos. And the Marine who was there, who was visiting our patrol base for like a week, building like HUMIT, going on patrols with us, gaining human intelligence, comes rolling in. And then Morton, the truck driver, like comes rolling in on his stomach, kind of like the most like, hey, what's up, buddy? Like out of all of them kind of thing. And I'm like, holy shit. And it was just, I remember it being chaos. The doctors were really good. Like I was able to talk to some of them, and the surgeon, I said, hey, because they were bringing Dave into surgery right away. And I was like, well, how's he doing? And he looked me in the eyes and he's like, I don't think he's going to survive.
Fuck.
Say goodbye now. And I was just like, holy shit. They bring him away. It turned out he had like 80 to 100 ball bearings or something just littered all throughout. The kid detonated himself 2 feet from him. Luckily, though, I guess, because he was so short, a lot of those went down to the ground, came back up instead of being at a higher level. Hunter was right next to the kid, and he had his femoral, so his artery on his right leg was all messed up. He went into surgery right away. With him, I just remember, like, these guys, I'm just like, oh shit, like, you don't know what to do. And I remember it was weird, like with Hunter, like I only known that kid a couple weeks, but kissed him on the forehead, said, good luck, buddy. That's it, he's off. And the Marine, he got his butt cheeks all blown up and shit, so they just rolled him away. Morton was cool. But I remember Hunter, I was asking Hunter what happened. I was like, what happened? And he was just like, it was a kid. It was a suicide bomber, blah, blah, blah. And just jaw dropped, man. So much chaos. Yeah. And, but they saved them all. Like Dave,
Oh, nice.
Dave like came out. I saw him the next day. He went into surgery. The next day, he flatlined a couple times. They were able to revive him. They got him out of there within 2 days. Hunter, they were able to take some of the veins from his left leg, infuse it into the femoral on the right leg, saved his leg.
Wow.
You know, saved pretty much for him.
That's wild.
Crazy, dude. Morton had shrapnel in his butt cheek, so like that quote unquote $1 million wound, right? I guess he didn't even know until he got back to the base, and he's kind of like, "Oh, it's like I got a little something going on here. What's up?" And they're like, "You got a little blood there, bro." And the Marine had like shrapnel to his glutes and stuff like that. So incredible. All of them
Amazing. They didn't
saved.
die. The fuck?
Yeah, nuts, crazy.
Wow.
So that was, I was like day one in this class, and that for me made it real at that point.
Yeah.
Especially with the jamming systems. That kind of gave me this like motivation where I was like, all right, now I gotta actually, this is some serious shit. Like I gotta make sure I know what I'm doing.
Probably somebody blew him up. Like it's not like I bet you he didn't blow himself up.
Kill switch or something like that, maybe.
Like somebody
Yeah.
probably blew him up at that point.
Yeah.
Like so
For sure.
like the EW probably would have came into effect at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. So what we think happened is when we got over there, Dave had already been there for about, I think like close to a year or something like that. So these Ausaid guys do rotations in country.
You see, he's a civilian, so he's a merc.
He was a civilian. So he was like a civilian contractor.
Yeah, it's almost like a DA civilian. Like there's like in country.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was the money man. So we had Dave, the money man. We had Diggs, the CA guy, civil affairs. And then we had our PL, who was the Navy CB. And the three of them, we would take them out to these remote areas in the villages, and they would meet with the local elders. And then they were, the three of them together were the infrastructure team that would, the civil affairs guy and the CB would be like, get out the construction plans for the bridge or the road. And then Dave would bring the money in and fund the locals to actually build those projects.
Yeah.
The hope, 2012 at that time, that's when we were going kind of out of kinetic, which was what you caught, into a lot of that hearts and minds, the rebuilding phase, the experiment of the Afghan conflict, which now we know 10 years later, right?
Yeah,
whatever happened with that.
Worked or not worked.
So
we don't even know.
The goal at that time was trying to sway the local populace to support the new Gyroa government instead of supporting the Taliban through, opium and putting bombs on the roads and stuff like this. So that was our goal. That was our entire mission. That entire deployment was to protect those three dudes out on patrols, trying to like work on bridges and roads and stuff. Now, the belief is that, at least from what I interpret, from my understanding, is that, there's something that happened when we got there where Dave or the group was like cutting off funds one way or another to certain people. Like we were reorging, there was money flows were changing, and that may have had some influence on that attack. We're not really sure. I'm not really sure, but one way or another, that was clearly targeted. And at that time too, there was
two of them, right?
There was three, I think, in that province, because they sent that kid hit us, and then there was another attack down near TK or something like that killed like five dudes right off the bat. They were like ripping in, another 2-3 weeks in country. That might have been another tactic, is they just were waiting for new guys to come in, less knowledge. But yeah, so it was that was unique. That's what kicked it off. And then from there on, it was real. And, but shout out to the medical teams, they do an incredible job.
Yeah.
But I think also shout out, like, there's some people that didn't get enough recognition than they probably should have. And they're not the type of people that are going to go and seek that recognition. But it should be said that, like, Dave is still alive. Hunter is still alive because of guys like Dirk, because of guys like Diggs, who were patching them up on the road, right after that happened.
Is this Dirk
Riondo, Sentinel, Sentinel. Keith Riondo was patching up the Marine and even Adam Costa, all of our boys that were on the ground that day. You know, there wasn't enough recognition that came their way for what they did that day and the people that they saved that day. And it might be because of the event itself. Like it might, you know, maybe it was because it was kind of politicized and stuff. I'm not really sure, but you know, they did well. They did well that day.
Yeah,
so,
they did their job.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it done.
Recognize you guys. Good shit.
Yeah. So so then after that, you know, the entire deployment after that was like a lot of foot patrols. I stepped in an Ian slot, so I ran Bravo team. I ran the heavy weapons team, so I was the guy that would, you know, go up and set up gun positions with the weapons team on the mountainsides, on the foot patrols. It was a lot of walk-in. I was our electronic warfare operator, but I also filled in the role of our S2 guy.
And how long have you been a member of the Rhode Island National Guard at this point? like as a Joe, like were you still like a E4, E3?
I was an E4, yeah. I came in as an E3. I got my E4. I came in as an E3 in like January 2011. I got my E4 right before we shipped out that fall. So by this time, I'm in the unit for like a year and a month, a year and 2 months, something like that.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. I was the youngest in the squad. I was still like 18 years old at that time. Right. And the interesting thing too is since we were only a squad size element on this outpost, this patrol base, we had to like task guys out to learn different skills because we didn't have a comms guy. We didn't have the assets. People normally have it. Like we didn't have an intel guy. So we took our guys and we just said like, you go learn this. Like Holmes, he was another asset too. He actually, shout out to Holmes. Love you, bro. He deployed with you guys. He was out of Maine, I think, Maine or New Hampshire. He went with. So he was experienced. But we were like, all right, Holmes, you're a comms guy. Go learn comms. Luckily at this time, SEAL Team 2 built. We were there. SEAL Team 2 came in 2 months after we got in country, and the CBs built them an outpost right behind us. SEAL Team 2 operated right out behind us. So like Holmes was able to go to like befriend the SEALs and learn from their comms guy how to like splice wires and do fancy stuff with the radios. Yeah. And we had our little SATCOM radio, and he got to a point where he was able to just like hold it up to a certain angle and stuff.
18 echo right there.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yep, we had I had to do the EWO stuff. We did have some 88. We had like one 88 mic with us. Quello, love you, Papi Chulo, who was like our truck guy. Parker, who was artillery guy, and then I filled in for the S2 slot. So which kind of made sense as a team leader because when we came out of missions, I would go debrief and the talk and stuff, and then I'd pull the intel, and then the night before the patrols,
which is fucking crazy for an E4 to go.
Right, I literally was thinking way above
cool,
your
man. Like, hey,
you're
man,
like an E6 right now.
Yeah.
Mr. E4, come over here. And give me my S2 rep.
Yeah,
specialist, and so I see.
Yeah, it was neat,
dude.
It was cool because I got and all of our.
That's a crazy experience. Man.
All of our meetings and stuff when on the patrols, I was able to sit in with Keith and these guys with the elders and eat food with them and listen to the conversations. And the locals knew I was young. Like I always got that. Like they would like be looking at me, shaved face, like 18-year-old. Like they're like, "You're a little boy." I'd be like, "Yo." But I had like an MO, like I used to like carry pictures of my like twin cousins and be like, oh, well, these are my kids or something, even though they're not my kids. So it was a really good, like any deployment, you take the good and the bad. There was a lot of cool cultural stuff that I learned, learned a lot about the people. But the bad, man, it exposed me to like the true raw human evil nature that comes in the world. That was after that attack, one of the things that I was continued to think about and still did up until recent times is like that kid, the lead up to it, like how he was raised, well, morning
he was raised to do the thing, man. Like he was raised to do a certain mission, and he did it. Like that was,
and they're good. And they know the weak side. They know, especially when you use kids against people. It's incredible. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, they were in it for a 1,000-year war.
Yeah,
not a
for sure.
Not a 10-year conflict or, a 6-year conflict or whatever it may be.
There's no end for them.
Like they're in for the 1,000-year war. Like that's not. It's not to them. Like it's not. And I say them, but I mean like the Afghans, like per se, are they're in it for like their kids, their everything. Like they're not gonna stop because we've done something, to an extent. Like it and we tried. I mean, we tried real hard. Like all of us tried.
Give it a pretty good go.
But,
we did, yeah.
It's just it's one of those
for every
things, man.
country, it's like we know like eventually there's gonna be an end, or at least we hope to like when's it gonna end. For them, there's no end. We're just gonna keep fighting you. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's wild, man. I used to always laugh like us, like 100 pounds of gear, like humping up a mountain.
You see the new
And
guy,
you got
he's got
homeboy,
the
like-
sack protector,
Yeah.
shoulder pads. You're like, all right, bro. Let's
Yeah, and then you got the little Afghan or whatever.
Homeboys
Do
in sandals.
You guys have Afghans with you at all?
We
Or no?
we the Terps, the interpreters.
okay.
Yeah,
But I
luckily,
mean,
the Australians had the A&A on base.
But like
luckily.
it's like those like just Afghans themselves. Like they'd be climbing this old dude be climbing a mountain with
Yeah.
sandals on.
yeah,
Like and that's
running up
just-
the mountain.
But that's just what they do. Like it's their. Like you think about us, like back in the woods, like you go in the woods in the back, like you can run for miles, but like,
Yeah.
and you know exactly where you are.
Yeah.
But like that's exactly what their thought was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So yeah, definitely interesting period there. We were the last rotation on that base. I think there was the guys that ripped in that were replacing us were only there for like another 6 more months, and then that patrol base got turned over to the A&A.
Yeah.
So that was kind of in that transition period.
Yeah.
The Dutch were there before us. There was some talk, especially in that area, of some agreements happening between like the Dutch and the Taliban and all this stuff too. It was kind of weird paying people off, this and that. But yeah, so I mean that was really, we had a couple more incidents. There was a couple more IEDs that went off. Some of the Afghan National Police got wounded. We had a truck, our last mission, literally, like truck 2 got hit with an RPG. So that was Ted's incident where Ted got flown out. He was a gunner. And
Ted, what's his last name?
Nguyen.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know him then.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nguyen. So Nguyen ended up getting like bad TBI from that, like totally concussed.
I bet.
Diggs in the who was a staff sergeant in like the TCC, and by this time Diggs had done like 4 deployments at that time. He was another like real senior guy in the squad, and the RPG hit like right at his head spot in the MAT V, and you just see on the inside of this truck like a bulge.
What kind of RPG was it?
It was luckily anti-personnel. It wasn't armor piercing.
Okay.
Which was big, I think.
It's like the size of like a 60.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure.
RPG 7.
I think it's one of those like
Yeah,
airburst
and-
ones or something like that. If it was armor piercing, that shit.
About a 60. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been
Yeah,
messy.
yeah.
That would have been messy. Yeah, so I mean, that happened, and that was pretty much like the extent of it. It was wild, man. It was a crazy experience because it was a lot, like you had said in one of the prior episodes I watched, like a lot of looking for them, a lot of hiking for them, but not finding them. That was kind of the crazy thing. Is like, you spend
You're always
the entire,
waiting for it. You're
entire
waiting for
time.
it, but it's just
Movement into
Yeah.
contact.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's what I hear about you guys. Is literally just like every.
Yeah, you had a
patrol.
totally different experience because you found them. Like you actually found them. And
It's not like we found them. It was like they were just there.
They were there.
They weren't trying to hide it.
But like it was it was a fucking crazy experience. Just like not seeing enemy. It was just like they were, not that they were ghosts, but they were just not there. Like,
Well, it's not like they were like out, like clearly out and about with us either. You know what I mean? But I mean, they definitely were. Just a real quick question. Because I'm really curious. I wanted to ask earlier. How big was the base? Like if you could paint like a picture, was it like I forget all the fobs. I can't remember. But I remember like one fob we were at, one of the bigger fobs. Like I can't remember what's the name of a fob in Afghanistan.
like fob blessing like that.
Or with whatever fob you fly into, and it's like straight up Disneyland. Like I'm talking about, you gotta get on a fucking bus.
You mean like bog room?
Bog room, yeah. You gotta get on a fucking
Or
bus. You know what I mean?
Jaff,
You're walking down the street. You might as well just leave your arm up the whole time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm assuming it wasn't like that, but how big was it? You know?
Yeah, it was small. It was maybe it was like a square, so it was like a rectangle.
Okay.
It was on the side of a mountain, so like the top. So the entire size of the base was probably 50 yards long.
It's like half a football field.
Half a football field long.
Okay.
A football field wide.
Okay.
And it was on the side of this mountain, this hillside, and the tents and the LZ were at the top of it. Tents, our gym, it went LZ, gym, mortar pit, tents, and then you come down the hill, and then that's where you had like Conex boxes for showers, bathrooms, laundry, like one of each kind of thing. And then the motor pool was down at the bottom, refueling point, entry, front gate, and we had a back gate, and then we had towers kind of all throughout.
Right.
On the other side, there was a wall, so the east side wall had a doorway through it, and there was another section on the other side, so extended out a little bit.
Like A
that's where A and A were.
A and A, yeah.
Yep, their bedding and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then our chow hall, which was just, it was outdoor picnic tables, and then like a little room. You walk in, you get your food on trays, you come sit outside kind of thing. It was small.
Cop. Yeah, it sounds like a cop.
That's why I said like a patrol base.
Okay.
I think like the Australians called it like a PB. But yeah, it was like a cop. I mean, we would have called it a cop.
Okay.
It was like camping. Right? We had tents. We had tents. Yeah, we had when we first got there in the wintertime, it was cold, so we had to bring up like diesel generators for the heat in the tents. And then in the summertime, we didn't get Chigo air conditioner units until like, I don't know, like August or something like that.
Dude, those are so clutch, man. I feel so guilty. It's kind of like, did I really deploy, man? I fucking had Chigo air conditioners, a fucking bed, and we had electricity, and our generators never went down.
Yep.
Although, to be fair, though, like every time, like when I was one of the positions where I had to refill the generators, is like you had to put in your body kit so you didn't get shot at.
Yep.
But still.
Yeah. Yeah. It was different. I almost died over there from getting electrocuted. This is a good story. It's a funny story, like thinking back now, but yeah. So it was like, so we just had the tents. We didn't have ACs. They flew in. That everything came in through helicopters for resupply and stuff like
pallet,
that.
Yeah.
Yep. And they flew in like this pallet of like Chigo units, like in like August or something.
Fucking nice. All right.
Yeah. We were trying to get creative with like how to shade our tents. Like we found this old parachute and we tried rigging that up and everything.
That's cool.
And it worked to an extent. It had some airflow. But when these air conditioner came in, I was just so pumped. I was like, man, Casa and I were the two team leaders in the same tent. We were like, we don't want one. We want two.
Oh, wow.
Getting
you guys
mad
went crazy.
greedy.
All right.
Getting real greedy.
Right. Yeah.
And these Chigo units, these Chigo air conditioners were getting rigged up on like metal frames.
It's like the ones like yay big like this, right?
Yep, with a fan.
Yep, okay.
And then they had the two hoses that would go out outside, and then the little fan unit outside.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about my electrocution story. How I was almost dead overseas from being electrocuted. And,
Mr. EW.
They come in halfway through, man, and real excited. We're like, okay, we want two in our tent, not just one.
Yeah.
Being real greedy, Costa and I.
Yeah.
And Costa was like, okay, well, we need another frame, because those metal frames are what you would mount it on, but then they also had a circuit breaker on them, so it's what you ran your electrical to as well. So I was like, all right, there's some empty tents at that point, like down the line from us, couple over. I'm like, all right, I'll just go get another frame, bring in the tent. And I go into the other tent, super naive, 19-year-old, 18-year-old.
19 years old.
I flick off the main power to the tent, right? And I'm just like, okay, the power's out. Yeah, the power's out. And I'm just pulling wires out of the back of this circuit breaker. And little did I realize, well, how does the power get into the tent? From a main line that comes out of the diesel generator. And dude, I pull this two exposed wires out, I make contact with them, and I literally just go up onto my toes. And I just remember being like,
This is it. This is how I die.
I couldn't even. It was crazy, man. Like I just remember being on my toes and like making that noise, like, and then I somehow broke off from it, and I fell back, and I was just like taking deep breaths, and like I knew exactly what happened, but I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. It was the most scary experience of my life, and I go back into our tent area, and
we laugh about it. We're like, that's funny.
Diggs is sitting there, and like I think Diggs was like an electrician or something at some point. He knew because we had our engineer guys, so they knew electrical. And I was like, dude, I just got electrocuted. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, 2 tents over. I thought the power was out. I made contact, and he was like, that was the main wire, and that wire was like that thick too. And he was just like, dude, you're lucky you didn't die. And because apparently when you make contact with your hands too, you create that circuit that goes
it wasn't 110. Let's put it that way.
Dude, probably, that's what he said. Because they're big diesel generators. He was like, the ampage. He was like, the ampage in that thing is pretty high.
So you need like 1 amp to kill you, right?
Apparently it's the amps, not the volts that'll kill you. I remember them telling me that. But I didn't have, it was crazy. I didn't have any like charring. That was like, I don't know why. Maybe my boots. I don't know. Like, but yeah, man. So that was almost it.
Yep.
Is that the only thing you think of? Like you think of a lot? Well, I am curious too. Is there anything that you think of, like when you think of the deployment? Like, do you think of that kid often? I know earlier you said you don't do the whole like what ifs thing, but where's your brain like fall on when you think of the deployment?
Yeah, a lot of it was that kid. I think a lot of it was that incident.
Do you feel when you came back though, like because you weren't there?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that made it worse? That you weren't like in the patrol? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's tough, man. I think I'm glad that I was able to be there for my guys when they showed up at the medical facility. That I think for me was assuring. Because even though I wasn't there when the incident happened, I was there for them the entire time afterwards. Yeah. However, there's a part of me that like wishes I could have been there for them on the ground, but at the same time, I might have been sent home 3 weeks into it if I was there. It's crazy. Hunter, the medic that got blown up, was wearing my body armor and shit and had my rifle on that patrol. So like I get back and all these dudes are like, "Here's your kit." We tried to clean out all like the flesh and shit like that. Yeah. So, I am glad that I was able to be there for after the fact. But I do a lot of after the fact coming home was like, a lot of those thoughts playing of like that happening. Yeah. Dave. Downtime. Yep. A lot of some of the what if, like these kind of thoughts, and like a lot of them, replaying like a lot of us have. And I think that I probably didn't realize that stuff was weighing on me until like 2-3 years after I was home.
Yeah, that's kind of a question I was gonna ask. So I was like, hey, like when when you directly got home, like I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you must have been you're like top of the world, right? Mm-hmm. Like you get back and you're like, dude, I made it through that shit. I'm fucking king shit. Like
20 years old now.
Yeah. 20 years old now.
Tell me shit.
But like after that, like those 3 years later, and then you start talking and thinking about things, and you're like, oh shit, like what am I gonna do?
Yeah. You start noticing the emotions. I think probably one of the best things that happened to me after I got home was going back to school and then getting into a routine.
Yep.
However, like I was in a routine and I was back in school and I was doing well, but looking back now, like, I was partying. I was still bottling up a lot of these emotions. Like, I reflect on the relationship I had with my girlfriend at the time and people I had, and like, there was shit that I was clearly dealing with that
you weren't dealing with per se.
Exactly.
Like
you didn't even know any better. Probably deal with it. You're so
exactly.
Shit.
You're just like, hey, I'm this guy, whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, at what point did you decide, hey, like I got some stuff to deal with, and like I guess how did you deal with it?
it all came for me. The final point was like 2020, 2019, 2020. But I started to deal with the stuff in late stage college. So probably like circa 2015, 16.
Yep.
I went to school at Central Connecticut State University. It's a big like military alumni school too. I think it's one of the top military colleges. Like a lot of vets go there. And I ended up becoming the president of the Student Veteran Organization while I was there too. So I was with the SVO, I was with vets, I was with Charlie Company guys and 102nd guys because it's in Connecticut. A lot of them that went to college.
Yeah.
I joined like the fraternity there specifically because all my friends that I met at school that were vets, Marine vets, were all like in the fraternity as like older guys.
Yeah.
And we had a really good behavioral health therapist that was there that would do like group sessions, group therapy sessions and stuff like that. And there's some guys that I knew that I got involved with that. And I think that was my first break into just like talking about stuff. And the group kind of setting worked well for me in the beginning. Like it was good. Like my buddy was a Marine infantryman, had done like 2 or 3 tours. There was Navy guys, there was Army guys, there were some guys that hadn't deployed that were just dealing with stuff. So that was kind of like my first step into it. She was really good. I liked her. I went to her a lot. After CCSU, I tried like a few guys at the VA that didn't really work out. The VA side for me didn't really work too much.
Yeah.
And after Central,
it's tough finding that person.
It's hard, man. Yeah. Someone said it to me like, well, one time, and I agree. It's almost like dating.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true.
It's like
so true.
You got to try them out. You got to.
I tried out like 3 or 4, and then like one stuck, and then he moved off. Yeah. And then it's like, shit. Where am I gonna find a new guy?
We'll find that person.
I found it. I found it myself. I found it in this podcast. So
I've had a couple that were just like, I got to send you to someone else kind of thing. But yeah, and that was all kind of compounding into like, because after Central, I went into my MBA. I started working full time then. I went to CCSU. I got a finance degree, and I started working for United Technologies Corporation, Pratt & Whitney engines, Otis elevators, in a finance role. And then I rolled into my MBA, and I kind of had the therapy stuff that I broke into that I was working on, but I still kind of had a part of me that was still wasn't there right fully. It was like
you knew something was missing.
Exactly. It's almost like a emotional compounding effect. Like I had started to do well, and I was taking on a lot at that time.
Well, you'd ignore it to a degree. Yeah. Like you're just like, hey, like I'm doing good. I'm doing my job. I'm doing my master's degree or whatever it is, and like I'm just hey.
And I stayed busy.
You don't even know. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't even know. Like, I don't think I ever ignored. Like I don't have a problem.
Yeah, but
I'm just so busy with shit.
Not that you not you ignore it, but you just kind of like put it off to the side. Okay. Like you just like, hey, like that's not a thing,
And for me, I stayed busy. I remember telling that to people all the time. Like I was like had this crazy schedule where I was going to school during the day. I was working a full-time job in an internship. I was doing the fraternity stuff. I was out until 1 a.m. kind of thing, like getting like no sleep. And I was just like, I got to stay busy. I like to stay busy, but that was all compounding.
Yeah.
I was staying busy.
You like to stay busy because
you don't
have to deal with anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. With you. Yeah. Personally.
But did you find that out later? Because I relate in a lot of ways, and I'm just a busy guy naturally. Like I like to keep myself busy, but I think I couldn't notice like I had issues I should deal with because I was so busy. So do you feel like maybe it was a blend of both, or like, or you obviously I'm asking you now. Do you think you knew there was a problem and subconsciously or consciously you were trying to keep yourself busy so you didn't deal with it, or you were so busy you didn't notice you had a problem, and at some point you noticed you had a problem? You're like, all right, I gotta fucking talk to someone.
I think it was a hybrid of both. Like I think it was the former. Like I think I was kind of staying busy because
you gotta do this, you gotta do this.
Yeah, but then I started realizing that like I was staying busy because I didn't really know how to handle it from like not being busy and
So what was the what was the epiphany where like, hey, I need to deal with this shit.
Yeah.
All right. I need to like like talk to somebody or do whatever you need to do? Like, what was the epiphany?
January 2020. For 2 years leading up to 2020, I had 2 startups that I was trying to run. I had left my corporate job. I was in school full time. I had a startup that was catering to Chinese international college students. It was a car service they had like translation issues when they came to UConn in these schools. We had a website where if you were a foreign exchange student, you come on our website, you pick out the model car you want, the make. We would send that to a dealer. The dealer would fulfill that, do all the documents for you, provide you with the car.
Done.
I also had a CBD skincare line that I had been working on for like a year and a half at that point, formulating all this stuff. I was staying really busy. And then at the same time, like I told you before the recording, I was very much involved with what was going on in macroeconomics and the economy and finance. I ran a podcast called The Nonconformist all throughout 2019 because when I learned about Bitcoin in 2017, I started to see what was really happening in the financial system and the US dollar and where the world was going and what that world was going to look like. And going into 2019, late 2019, it was all starting to fall apart, just like it had done in the global financial crisis in 2008, except this time the real end was coming to the dollar and is here, right? Arguably here. So when COVID kicked off, people think that COVID was what was starting to bring, what really was the first domino that was bringing down the economy. That's not true. The economy was coming down 2 years prior to COVID. I was in Geneva, Switzerland in 2019 at the United Nations and the World Trade Organization, and all these people then were flashing red signals saying, globalization's done. We are back in a pre-World War II era. Nationalism's back. The global economy is starting to collapse. And I had this, and then 2019 comes around, and we can tie into this when we start talking about Bitcoin and stuff. But the breakdown in debt was starting to happen, the breakdown in corporate debt. And once we went in and the virus had come into the western part of the hemisphere, because I'd been watching it ever since fall 2019 when it was still in China. Once that happened, it was like a compilation of emotional baggage that I was dealing with the past, awareness on what's happening in the future, and then this forward-looking event.
You're like talking his fucking language.
Forward-looking event of what's coming, and I say the way I explain it is I feel like I'm in the movie The Patriot, Mel Gibson in The Patriot.
Okay.
Where he fought. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that movie.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
He fights.
How have we not seen that movie?
I mean, like,
jeez, come on.
I'm
now.
older than I look, man.
Yeah.
How have you not seen The Patriot?
He
If
fights
you haven't
in-
seen The Patriot, go see The Patriot.
Go watch The Patriot. He fights in the French-American War. That's done. It's in the past. He's a farmer now, and he just wants to live a good, peaceful life. But he sees the war coming, and he sees the conflict coming, and he doesn't want to be involved in it, but it pulls him into it, right?
Yeah.
And he gets drawn into it. That's the best way I can explain how I was feeling going into 2020. Once the event happened, I realized that I had to do something because I didn't know emotionally if I was going to make it through what was to come.
Yeah.
And that's when I finally turned into what we'll talk about next. I think it's a good segue with breathing exercises, meditation.
Yes.
Yeah, but how'd you get
cold
there?
therapy.
Who kind of was like, hey, like you need to do this? Did you YouTube it yourself? Did you kind of figure it out? Or?
I had already been on that route. So,
Yep.
like I said, 2016, I had done like the therapy and stuff, and this was kind of introduced to me. In 2018, I became fascinated with mushrooms and mycelium and mycology. And at that time, I had been starting to listen to a lot of philosophy and a lot of, people from, the 60s and the 70s and stuff. I was already on this journey. So when leading up to 2020, I was already kind of there. But what in 2020 is when I actually committed to like practicing stuff and trying it. Like I remember in spring 2020, I was like, okay, I'm going to try to actually meditate, because I never really tried to actually meditate until that time. I'd like heard about it, I learned about it, but I had not actually tried to do it. Right. And I would start with the just, simply, sitting there for, and it's like meditation is
like music guided, like what, like
just in silence. And it's like any other practice where like you have to start small and practice to build up to it. Right. The first time I tried it, I tried sitting there for like 20 minutes and just literally just in silence, outdoors with my eyes closed, trying to not think, just trying to be in the moment. Yep. And you get like 5 minutes into it and it's like,
But like what Zach was saying, was it guided, or is it like did you have a tension behind it where you just wanted to be mindful?
Because I've had experience with it, and like the guided meditation was like really helpful to like kind of guide your journey with it or like figure it out. But like, or did you just start like almost like turkey, like cold turkey? Like you were just like, hey, like I'm just gonna silence, do it, figure it out. Now. Like, but I think it's so hard that to like shun any thoughts out. Like that's kind of the worst part with meditation, or not the worst part, but like the hardest part is that like you're trying to shun like thoughts out essentially, and like that just I mean it's tough, and I've done it to this day, like trying to figure it out. Like
there's so I had tried some of the guided sessions and stuff, and I think they're really good for giving you tools on how to do it, but I had been listening to a couple guys that talked about like the monkey mind. Essentially, like the monkey mind is like a phrase that they use on like the thinking mind. The goal of meditation is to silence the thinking mind and to just bring the present moment. It's really hard. So I did use like the apps and stuff in like late 2000, probably in the beginning in 2019. Like there's a lot of them people know, like Headspace and things like this. Like I definitely had to use them, but I wanted to try to get into the practice of like not using them and just kind of being in the present moment. And that's kind of, so I started with the apps, but then I quickly went into just trying to practice being in the present moment. And again, the monkey mind, trying to silence the monkey mind. So I would start by just sitting there in the morning for like 5 minutes and just closing my eyes and just trying, realizing that like the thinking mind is separate from the physical body, right? And whatever thoughts come to my mind, I would acknowledge them, but then I would almost pretend to just
like a cloud,
let them pass.
Yeah.
And I would try to do it for 5 minutes. And then I was able to work up to like 10 minutes. And then I was able to work up to 15 minutes. And this was in like the spring of 2020. I thought it was really good. Like I was working up to it. So it was a slow build up. And I got to a point where, I can sit there in the morning and I can take just, like 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. And I would just try to silence the mind. What I found that works too is focusing on one stimuli. That's a good technique. So if you're sitting outside, close your eyes, and whatever you hear, if it's birds chirping, if it's your neighbor doing stuff with their yard, focus on that one stimuli. Try to focus on that one stimuli, right. And that will bring you into the present moment, and that'll prevent your mind from starting to race. Now, with that being said, a good routine or a good practice that I think is, if you're someone that is like, I can't get my mind to silence, which is everyone. There's this individual, Naval, on Twitter. You follow Naval?
Yeah.
Naval.
Ravikant.
Yeah. And he says what he does is an hour a day, or I don't know if it's daily, but he does an hour in silence. And in that hour, he lets his mind think whatever it wants to think. Don't even try to stop your mind from thinking. Commit to an hour, or if you wanted to start, commit to 30 minutes. It needs to be a longer period, though. Let your mind think whatever it wants to think. Yep. And it's incredible. Once you get like 20 minutes in, the first 20 minutes, the first 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes, your mind is thinking. You're thinking about random stuff. You're thinking about things that you were going to think about. Once you get to that 30-minute mark, though, silence comes. It's incredible. It's almost like, you just let your mind process all these thoughts that are there, but you commit to that longevity where your mind thinks through everything it wants to, and then it doesn't have anything else to think about.
Yeah.
And then you get into this meditative state. I know I'm there
So did that solve all your problems, or did you need more?
No, I needed more.
I mean, did it solve? It solved some to an extent, right?
It did.
Like, and then
Yeah. So it's at this point, the meditation stuff was the start. About halfway through 2020, I have a close friend of mine. Shout out Tim, love you, bro. Back home, who introduced me to Wim Hof breathing.
Oh yeah.
You know, this was the
explain
real.
that.
This was Wim Hof, the Wim Hof breathing method, the Wim Hof mething method.
Yeah, I don't
This
even know.
this for me was, I think, the real breakthrough. This was the real breakthrough for me. Yes, I have never found a better stress relief in my life. No drug.
Wim Hof?
Wim, WIMHOF, Wim Hof breathing. It's a simple breathing technique. So it's a method that involves three things: breathing, cold water exposure, cold weather training, and meditation. The breathing method is fairly simple. It's just 30 deep breaths.
Gets you amped up like a flight response.
Yeah.
If you just sit there and you do 30 deep breaths like that, around 15 or 20, you start to feel just a little lightheaded, a little tingly. On the last breath, you exhale all the air out of your body and you hold your breath. For as long as you can go. And you can go a long time. It's amazing. You can go a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, because you deplete the carbon dioxide in the body, you increase the amount of oxygen in the blood. Yeah. The body, what makes you feel like you have to breathe is a buildup of CO2.
Okay.
So in that exhale, you focus on being in the moment, meditate, and you feel good. And this for me was powerful because it brought a bodily sensation that was like a drug, very much like a drug.
Altered your state of mind really quickly.
Yes, I have achieved higher states of consciousness off of that breathing technique than I have off of any drug. In a short period of time too, in just a minute.
Yeah.
So there's the bodily sensations and the actual stress relief that comes with, the flood of oxygen, dopamine, norepinephrine, all these good stress hormones.
And do you do this in particularly anything to do with stuff dealing with deployment, or like if you're stressed out, or do you do this strictly our personal growth?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah. What initially it was the stress from deployment and stuff. But I was also on this path of seeking higher knowledge,
some enlightenment.
Yes. Yeah. I'd been listening to philosophy. I had been listening to the Psychonauts. I had been, I was on this journey.
Well,
so I was very much
quite the journey.
Yeah. I think I was on the journey because I was seeking relief. Realistically, I think that's kind of where it was. And this totally brought it there. So I do it almost daily now. I've been doing it for 2 years. So that, summer, fall of 2020 is when I was first introduced to it. The first time I did it, I was in a hammock with my buddy was next to me, and he was just like, "Hey man, you ever do any breathing exercises?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "You want to try one?" And I was like, "Sure." And
I mean, what so your buddy's sitting next to you, but were you at that point like, oh my God, I need to do something? Like where were you in your mindset to have your buddy be like, "Hey, you need something to do," or was he just kind of like, "Hey, try this"?
I think because I had talked to him about my experiences and stuff, so he definitely knew my past.
Yeah,
he knew he had known my pain and stuff. But at the same time, he's almost like a spiritual guide. He's an artist. He's kind of free thinker kind of. So he does this stuff anyways, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was almost like hey man, I think this would be good for you. Let's try this real quick. And most people aren't very comfortable with that. Like,
but I also feel like that's what you need too. Is that like like a little bit out of your comfort zone, but like something you can do like yourself. Like because talking to somebody is very difficult. Like it's not a I should say it's a normal thing. Like my wife would be like, "Hey, it's a normal thing to talk about your feelings," but you know, it depends on us. You know, because like for us, like to talk about our feelings, it's hard. It's not an easy experience.
No,
but like to make it about you, like to an extent,
right?
Is huge.
I guess you were asking like whether if they brought it up like, hey, try this cool
like do you have do you have problems or is it like
is he like I think you need to try this breathing exercise because the thing I'm aware of Whim Hof, right, and all that kind of stuff, and like I love that kind of like self-help shit. I nerd out on it. And it wasn't until I went to a therapist, actually, I think around the same time, 2020, 21, and then she told me about breathing exercises. Like I said, I knew all about it, you know, and I know the benefits, but I just never really gave it a try until I was really pissed off one day, and I did it one day because I got another part-time job, and I was working as a dishwasher, and so it's really noisy back there, so I got really angry. I was like, doing that over and over as for breath control, and I'm like, but that's what like, I think that's what you were trying to say. It was brought to my attention. It was like, you're really angry. Try these breathing exercises. Or was your buddy more like, hey man, like, you know, this is really good for you. You give it a shot, you know?
Yeah, I think it was the second. We were like smoking weed on hammocks next to each other, and he was like, "Hey man."
Honestly, I think I'm gonna. I'll negate the smoking weed part, but I think I might go set up my hammock in my backyard and like try some Whim Hof.
It's
I've never like. I've been looking to that, and I've done like a little bit of meditation, but like I've never done to that extent or whatever.
Do you want to try 30 breaths right now?
No.
See how you feel?
No.
Dude,
maybe after.
No.
All right, hold on.
No.
Let me take a piss real quick. I'll be back.
Now.
We'll try it. Dude, or to do what my therapist taught me. So I only did it, like I said, aware of the Whim Hof stuff. I love the science, you know what I mean? I think it's super cool. But I only did it because essentially it's the white lab coat thing, right?
Yes.
An authoritarian with a degree who's a psychoanalyst said,
I'm just
hey,
gonna drink a beer.
This is good for you. And so I did it, and it works, dude. Like when I'm really fucking pissed, I go, and I'm driving, someone cuts me off, I'm like,
It's
like
it's
10
true. They
times.
always say like just
You know
breathe.
what? You know what the fucked up thing is too? Is that I tell my daughter to do that. And I'm like, hey, take fucking 10 seconds,
and I need to make it clear.
Breathe. 10, 9, 8, 7. Like I was like, and my wife started this. Like she's a social worker. She knows like kind of like all that stuff, and she's amazing. But it works for my daughter, so it probably should.
You need the white lab coat. You need an authoritarian to tell you. So then you're like, okay, let me get a shot. You know, I gotta take this real quick.
Yeah.
But I mean, so my biggest thing is like, hey, all right, so you, like, where were you in a mindset to be like, and obviously I know like you're fucking smoking weed or whatever. It doesn't, you know, to an extent it doesn't matter. But like in a real, when did you feel that, it was a real thing for you, like that it was a release for you, or like maybe not a release, but like a method of coping to an extent?
The first time I did it, the way I felt, like after doing just 30 deep breaths, was like crazy, dude. It's tingling. I'd never felt that sensation before in my life. Like I remember being in the hammock and it's like that every time.
Yeah.
And just feeling like the sensation of like all the tingling feeling, like, and when you do it, you get a flush of dopamine and all serotonin, all the good hormones. I just felt good, and I was like, I remember I sat up, I was holding my breath, and I just sat up out of the hammock, and I was just like, I had no clue that I could make myself feel this way just simply by just sitting here and doing
just some breathing,
just 30 breath. And I guess it's like and I think it's important to say that I am not someone that in the past has done any of this. I've never done the mindfulness stuff. I've never done meditation. I've never done breathing exercises. I would like, you know, the doctors in the lab coats kind of thing. Like I would like tell them to like fuck off kind of thing.
Come on. What the fuck are you talking about?
And it wasn't until until this merge of this moment where I was just kind of on this journey, seeking this kind of stuff that I felt. And the sensation that I felt that first time was so incredible that I was just like, I can't believe I made myself feel this good. Should we see how long Terry can hold his breath for?
No,
I'm down.
You want to try? You want to try 30 breaths, Terry?
Yeah, let me get a sip of beer real quick.
jeez. So are we gonna actually do 30 breaths? Because that's
you don't have to. Zach.
I'm gonna do it, but
I'm down.
How long do you think you can hold? And I don't want you to like force yourself here.
This is gonna be
don't like force yourself and pass.
This is also gonna be
how long do you think you can hold your breath for?
This is gonna be painful. The podcast, like painful.
Maybe 40 seconds.
Are we just holding our breath, or are we gonna do the 30 breaths?
We're gonna do 30. So, and I think it's important to say that I'm also going through the Whim Hof instructor course right now to become certified in this.
Are you?
Shit, this is dope.
This is a part of my school. I'm headed to Spain in February for my testing.
Fucking go.
All right, I'm in.
I love Spain.
Let's do it.
So the goal of
Let's
this is
fucking do
to
it.
just like kind of, show the audience and of course us, like, the feeling of it. So what you're going to do is we're going to do 30 breaths at a normal pace, just like I said.
Like belly, from diaphragm,
So-
through the nose, to the mouth.
So it doesn't, nose or mouth does not matter. People overthink that. Like nose, mouth, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay.
Start from your mouth to start. Ideally, you work up to nose breathing, but both are good. Belly, chest. Belly, chest.
All right, let's do it.
But just sitting here, though, don't think about belly. Just think about just deep breaths.
Shit, I feel like it's a challenge. Fuck, I'm trying to not make it
So
a challenge.
I'm going to keep.
Look at him. He's like fucking prepping for it.
So I'm going to keep.
I need to go,
Yeah, I'm gonna keep pace. I'm gonna keep pace count.
Mr. Terry.
Okay, so you're gonna do. I'm gonna keep count.
Okay.
Yeah, please. Do.
You're gonna do 30 deep breaths. On the 30th breath, I'm gonna tell you to breathe in and then let it out. And then on that 30th breath, you exhale all the air out of your lungs.
Okay.
You're gonna keep counting on
And
30.
you hold your breath. You don't have to push all the air. Just exhale until the air is out, and then hold your breath. You don't have to like push it all the way out, kind of thing. Okay. And then I'm gonna start the timer, and we're gonna see how long we can.
Should I just give a thumbs up then? Like
once you have to breathe, or a thumbs up?
like a thumbs up. What's all the air is out. Like I'm good to go. Like.
Yep. Okay. You give me a thumbs up, and then I'll start the time there.
All right, Zach.
I got you.
My goal is to be Zach.
Hey,
That's
let's
it.
do it.
That's
man.
my goal. I gotta be Zach.
And it's important.
You don't have to beat me.
You know,
It's
with
not
this being
it's
this,
not a competition.
It absolutely is.
All right. No, it's about ourselves.
I'm winning.
and you'll
Fuck
feel
you, Terry.
if you feel tingly, if you feel lightheaded, that's normal. What that feeling is it's a higher amount of oxygen in the bloodstream. That's okay. It's a lower amount of carbon dioxide, CO2. The increased oxygen flow, oxygen absorption is what naturally makes you feel that way.
Is that so? I'm training for a triathlon, right? Mm-hmm. I'm in the pool. It's like fucking 40 minutes in.
Yep.
Then my hands are getting all tingling and numb. Is that what it is? Or I'm assuming the blood's leaving my extremities, going to my heart.
In cold water?
No, it's in a pool.
It could be. It could be. Yeah, it could be.
Okay. All right, I gotta be Zach. Let's go.
All right.
You're not gonna beat.
All right. Let's go. First
All right.
breath. No force.
Yeah. No. Honestly, dude. I'm like.
He's
Wow.
still going. Minute 20.
I'm like.
Good.
I'm like. Wow. Dude, I was like sweating. Probably at like 20 seconds, or
His
20,
lips got a
20,
little
20
blue.
deep breaths. I'm like sweating. I'm like,
Honestly, yeah,
I'm like,
I went further than I thought I was gonna
I'm
do.
like, what the fuck is going on with my goddamn body? And then, dude, it's like a feeling of euphoria. Like,
I'm not gonna lie. I was too concentrated on winning, man. I feel yeah. Then
Yeah.
I felt some of the beer.
Yeah.
Terry, that's you though. It's your problem. That's your problem.
That's part of my problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should cry some more. But anyway, no, dude.
Sitting
Wow.
up is a little tougher too. Laying down, it's you'll see that you can go a little further.
Honestly, I just like feel like, damn.
I am more chill. Yeah, I'm more chill, dude.
Yeah, once you get like around like 20 breaths, you start to feel a little bit.
That's cool.
Sensations and stuff.
I mean, I think like you were talking about 2 minutes, like holding your breath or whatever. I think I could do that probably by myself.
Yeah.
But like doing it here, I'm like, I
Of
gotta
course.
breathe.
Yeah, we're having beers.
But like, you know,
we're having beers and stuff like that.
But I'm like, damn, man. Wow.
Mellow.
Wow. Hey, that fucking shit works.
Feel a little more mellow, like someone
feel-
give me
I
a gentle
feel-
massage.
Yeah. I feel chill.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's and for the audience, it's important, that this was just for demonstration purposes. You should never do this standing up. You should never do this operating machinery, driving a car near water.
Wow. That's really.
You
yeah,
want to
thanks.
be want to be
Thanks.
seated or you want to be laying down somewhere where you're safe.
Oh, you're so safety conscious.
Well, also I heard somehow, I don't know how, but it happens while people are diving. So maybe experienced people have done it, and the problem is you're so used to not breathing, and then you just black out and you die.
Yes.
So
Yeah, it's
don't-
you can
don't
lose
do it and
you can
black
lose
out and die.
consciousness. Yeah, you can lose consciousness for a moment.
Actually, well, if you black out, then you breathe.
So let's talk about though really quickly like what happens in the body with that. So like I said, you increase the amount of oxygen in the blood.
Yeah.
You decrease the amount of CO2. You're able to hold your breath longer because you have less CO2.
Yeah.
But what this does is it creates it's hormesis is the term. So it's a short-term stressor that has long-term benefits. So by stressing the body in the short term, you release all these beneficial hormones that do things like lower your inflammatory markers. If you include the cold water, you increase your brown fat.
Dude, I feel chill.
Decrease stress.
Like I feel like that was like a chill experience.
yeah, I don't know if it's the beer or the combination of both, or like maybe like
No, I
psycho-
honestly
myself.
like felt like I could hear like the fucking like the cameras whirring.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I feel like I could hear like things that like obviously your voice is in there, but like I feel like I could hear things that were like I was just like there's like a sound.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
like I don't know, man. Hey, you're onto something.
Yeah, it's
You're onto something. That's cool.
So this guy Whim Hof, this dude has been able to break all these crazy world records. He holds the longest exposure in cold in ice. He's been submerged in ice for over an hour. His core body temperature hasn't changed. He's swam under ice for the longest distance. He's ran a marathon in the desert with no water. He's climbed up to the death zone in Mount Everest in just shorts. No hypothermia, no frostbite, none of this. He relates it all back to this breathing, but that breathing there's a lot of breathing exercises that are out there. So like this is one of many. However, what this method does is it incorporates. So what we didn't do at the end of that 30 breaths, after you hold your breath,
You jump into cold water.
Well, once you feel once you feel like you have to breathe, you take a deep breath in and then you squeeze towards your head for 15 seconds with air in your lungs.
oh, you just try to push it
So
up.
you hold your breath. When you feel like you have to breathe.
I just felt like I had to let Terry win. So
One of us is gonna pass out.
And that squeezing is what releases all of the hormones in the brain. So you're able to ultimately.
say that just one more time. Sorry.
So the part that we didn't do, which anyone can go on the website, you can watch the YouTube videos and do a guided session. The last part of it, what is taught is that when you feel like you have to breathe, you take one full deep breath in. Okay. You hold your breath in.
Push it to your head.
And you squeeze towards your head. And when you do that, that's when you feel this like euphoric, like that's when you'll go out. Like I have videos of me doing this where I just like totally go out. And what you're doing is you're tapping into the vagus nerve. You're tapping into the pituitary gland in the brain, releasing the opioids, cannabinoids, all of the beneficial hormones.
So you're rolling on Molly.
You're talking a lot of stuff, and I'm not sure what's going on.
When you hear about tapping the natural DMT in the mind, that comes from the vagus nerve. This is from this
All right,
part.
Cool.
So
I've heard it. I've heard about it. But
the most
never.
important part about it, though, is like it's now proven that we have the ability to control to tap into the autonomic nervous system to control our immune system, the innate immune response. So when we do this, we're able to release these stress hormones, and we release in that method, you will release more adrenaline than someone that bungee jumps. And this has been done in scientific studies now.
Who bungee jumps? That's fucking stupid.
But what it does is it kills bacteria, virus. It creates alkalizes the blood, so it creates an environment where you're able to fight off illness. You're able to get stronger. But most importantly, for me personally, you're able to withstand more cold. And that's why he's been able to do all these cold exercises and stuff. And in the cold water, that's what he's doing, is the breathing and the squeezing.
Yeah.
And you're able to raise your core temperature. I've been in the snow, and I've literally been laying in the snow doing this, and you feel freezing when you first get into it, but as you're breathing, your body starts to numb a little bit because you feel tingly, and then when you squeeze, you warm up. It's crazy, dude. I wish I knew about this when I was in the infantry. You know,
when
many times
when you're freezing all the time, you're like,
when you're in the field, man, and you're just like,
Do your breathing techniques.
you're like, you're like,
You're
snow's
just
falling
like,
on top
I
of you.
put
You're
my
like,
hands in my pockets, but I can't. So
you're literally trying to sleep, and you
Yes.
wake yourself
Yes.
up by shivering. Like,
yes. If you only knew that you could sit quietly breathing, but if you can just do like these rounds of Wim Hof, you literally feel warmer, man. It's incredible.
Wow.
So anyone that's still out there now, I guess that's probably the top advice I'd give to people that are still in the infantry, especially, is like, look up Wim Hof. It's incredible, man.
you're gonna have a bunch of Joes that's just like sitting there, and you're like, like just fucking trying to like goddamn breathe.
Yeah.
But hey, if it works, it works. And I'm not gonna lie, it definitely worked to an extent, and I'd love to try it eventually, like full blown.
Yeah.
But,
There's he's got an app, he's got the website, and then I'm getting certified in it. So this is something I want to bring back to the veteran community.
Yeah.
Once I get the level 1 certification, because then I can teach people.
Yeah.
I can't teach people right now, but
So what's your thoughts with the veteran community? Like, what and how, I guess, are you gonna like put this out there? Like, how are you gonna do it, and like, where are you gonna go?
seminars. So 1-day training session. I can do.
Are you still attached to like the university you went to, and like kind of doing that stuff with them, or
I'm connected through them politically and through connections and stuff,
yeah.
but I'm not actively doing anything with anyone right now.
Yeah.
These I do on my daily, on my free time.
Yeah.
I have my normal job, my day job. I've got the mushroom farm in the afternoons. This is a practice that I've been doing on my own, that I've seen benefits within myself.
Yeah.
That I'm getting certified in coaching, so I can become a real pro at it, and then take it back to the veteran community and hold a weekend seminar, like a Saturday, like a 5-hour course.
I mean, I'm willing to host it.
I would love that.
Host it.
I can
At
come
my
up here to
house,
Rhode Island.
we
can host it anywhere.
Like we'll do like tent
Yeah.
city at my house, and like do like some
We'll bring in we bring in the ice bath too.
Well, no, we'll make sure there's snow on the ground. We'll do like a whole thing, and we'll figure it out, man.
Yeah, seriously though, seriously.
I'll just leave my pool open.
Yeah, this is important, and anyone that's still serving, it's totally useful. It's we talk about the fitness side. I've been doing CrossFit for 10 years. I have noticed more gas in my system on workouts, specifically just from focusing on that deep breathing. Mm-hmm. I'll do, and he teaches, before you go into the cold or like cold showers, because you start with cold showers, stand outside your shower, take 10 to 15 deep breaths like we did here. Once your body starts to feel a little tingly, it numbs up. You get in the cold, you're not as cold anymore. And then you continue through that breathing as you're in the cold. So for the active, the active community.
So is this like your go-to? Like, is it, so this is like your go-to with everything? Right?
This is now all combined in one. So my meditation is during these sessions.
Yep.
I'm doing these sessions daily because I'm able to alkalize my blood and reduce inflammation.
So how long, like a day, are you doing it? Like
10 minutes.
Cold shower every
15
day.
minutes.
Like,
I do a cold shower every day. Yep.
So like you do 15 minutes, and then a cold shower, and then you're good to go.
I do cold showers in the morning typically. If I come home from the gym, I'll do a cold shower. I'll do breathing exercises before work. 10 minutes. I'll do what we did here. I'll just do that for like 2 or 3 rounds. Sometimes it's only 1 round. Like if I find, and then in the middle of the workday or at the end of the workday, if I notice that I'm like, I got a free minute and I'm feeling like it, I'll just do a quick 30 breaths and just start, get that feeling.
Is
and
it
just,
something you do in like in the car on the way home, or are you doing it when
never
you get
while
home?
driving? No, never while driving, because you do alter your state of consciousness. It can be very dangerous.
I can definitely tell.
Yeah.
It's not something you want to do like
this is
while
at
you're
home,
driving.
but anyone can do it. Even at the office, if you're at the office and you're by yourself or something, you could sit there and do 30 deep breaths, one round, and hold your breath as long as you can.
I'm not gonna lie, that shit fucking did something. I was
telling,
I'm not sure what it did, but it did some shit.
I was telling Zach while you were in the bathroom, like what sold it for me was the first time. I was like, I couldn't believe it the first time I did it. I was like, my body just felt different.
Yeah.
I was like,
hey, so try it once,
yeah,
and then see what happens.
And I actually have, when I get the certification and stuff, the brand that I want to put this under to promote all this stuff to the veteran community, I'm going to name it Tactical Pause. So that's I bought the domain name.
Oh, cool.
That's something for Lateo. Again, going back to overseas, that conversation I had with him where he told me, he was like, whatever's going on in the moment that's chaotic, just take a tactical pause.
That's cool. That sounds
reset,
so cool.
I like
and figure it out. So
like
that's what I hope to.
Yeah, well,
to
if
do
you
in the
come up with
future.
any ideas with this podcast, we've been trying to figure out a fucking name forever.
Did you at least? Oh, not at least. Sorry. Did you also get all the names on social media? Do you have all the handles already?
I have I got Facebook, I got the
Good.
Instagram.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've got the domain name.
Good.
The .com and the .org are unfortunately taken, but I've got like the other ones, the .net, the .io. I'm trying to put in a bid for the .org, so we'll see what happens with that. But so we'll see. That's something that I would like to focus on in the future. For me, the last 5 years has been Bitcoin and mushrooms. That's been my passion. That's been my focus. The wellness and the breathing, meditate, all this stuff is as an add-on to that, as a primary thing, secondary thing I want to work on in the future. But Bitcoin and mushrooms have been my passion for the last 5 years.
All right, so let's talk about your mushrooms, because I know that's your fucking your thing, man. And I guess, what was your first experience with mushrooms, and how did that, start you on this journey?
So in 2017, I was Google searching how I can change my diet to help with my brain health in the future, because I've had like 5 TBIs, both from the military and from civilian side, football injuries, snowboarding injuries. In Afghanistan, I drove our Mat V into a big ass ditch one time.
I'll do it.
Dirk was in the TC, Sergeant Sentinel was in the TCC, and we both smashed our heads in the windshield. And he looked at me like he wanted to kill me, and I was like, and that bar fight in Providence, I got my head smashed open. So as we were learning about CTE, I was like, okay, well, I've had some prior head injuries. What can I do? I came across a VA article that was talking about lion's mane mushroom, and how lion's mane mushroom has proven nerve growth factor properties in it, where it helps to protect the myelin around the brain cell. So you have a brain cell, the myelin is surrounded around the brain cell, and then it also connects each cell to each other, and it coats the outside of that, and it helps to prevent it from breaking down. So what a brain degenerative disorder is it's a breakdown of the myelin, which breaks down the brain cells and the neural connections. So I learned from this article how there's this gourmet mushroom that grows all around the world, that has been used in Eastern cuisines for hundreds of years, that helps your brain cells from breaking down, literally. And the VA was writing about the research that they had was on like PTSD and CTE. This lion's mane is currently being researched for dementia patients, Alzheimer's patients, anyone with the brain degenerative disorder. Yeah. And I was just so fascinated by that. I was like, what the hell? Like, you're talking about like this one piece of food that like can help my brain cell breaking down. And that's what kicked in like all of my interest in it. And then I went down the rabbit hole, and I started learning about other types of gourmet mushrooms, like reishi mushroom, like turkey tail mushroom. These are medicinal mushrooms that can be consumed, non-psychoactive, that help our immune system. So they're like immune boosters. Anyone that's suffering from cancer out there, I encourage you to look up turkey tail mushroom being used with chemotherapy. Mayo Clinic, all of the big schools now have research out there. It's proven. These mushrooms help the immune system from breaking down during chemotherapy. Chemo is one of the problem is when you go through chemo, it breaks down the immune system.
Everything. Yeah.
So a lot of people contract a cold or a sickness from the breakdown of the immune system, which ends up killing them. Yeah, it's not the cancer itself necessarily. It's the illness you get from your immune system being compromised. So turkey tail helps to support the immune system. I started learning about how different mushrooms themselves can consume all of the hydrocarbons and pollutants as food. So mushrooms can be used to filter out oil spilled fields. And there's a term called microremediation, where they're going to these old factory sites where they have all this polluted grass in these fields where you can't use it anymore. but they sprinkle down some mushroom spawn. They cover it with tarps. A month later, they come back. The mushroom grows throughout all the soil. It eats all of the oil and the hydrocarbons, the pollutants in the ground. It fruits out these beautiful mushrooms that you can eat because the mycelium uses it as food. The mushrooms fruit out. And what's left is the remnants of the mushroom after it's dead is compost. All soil that we have on Earth today is actually dead mycelium. It's mushrooms. They were their own species. It's the first organism on Earth after the Big Bang. The Earth after the Big Bang was covered by rock, mycelium. The mushrooms were in the ocean through algae. They came upon the land. And then from there, on the rock and the land, they turned into soil, which brought, biological life, insects, bugs, which brought birds and everything that we have today. So they're fascinating, and then of course we go into the psychological health. Now what we're seeing with microdosing and psilocybin, lion's mane supports the myelin and nerve growth. Psilocybin mushrooms expand the growth of neurons, grow more brain cells. So they're fascinating. However, there are some that will kill you. Yeah, there's some that will.
So how do you find these? All right, I'm gonna go buy some lion's mane.
Yeah, Joe Rogan sells them. He sells
he sells them. But he sells them. But where am I? Hey, I'm gonna go to my grocery store. I'm gonna go buy some fucking mushrooms.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, you want a pound of.
Where are you gonna get lion's mane mushroom? And are you or not? Are you not gonna?
So the good gourmet mushrooms, you might find at a small local grocery store from someone that's growing them locally. They're really like oyster mushroom, shiitake mushroom, lion's mane mushroom. These kind of mushrooms you might find at like a small local grocery store from a local grower because they only have a shelf life of like 5 days, 5 days or so.
Okay.
We're used to seeing like the button mushrooms, the white ones, right? These mushrooms have a longer shelf life. Most of them,
I'm gonna do stuffed mushrooms. So I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna go
portobellos, maybe find something like this. Whatever. Yeah. So you can look at a local grocer, farmers markets around you. There might be a mushroom grower there, so you can check there for fresh mushrooms. However, you can buy mushroom supplements. You need to be cautious though. I highly recommend the mushroom supplements that I purchase are from a website called fungi.com or Fungi Perfecti. Host Defense is also another brand of them. These are grown by the mycologist, the actual mushroom scientist that I've studied, Paul Stamets. These are grown in the U.S., out west in Oregon. He grows them there. They capsulize them. They sell them. You can buy them on Amazon. Don't go on the website. Get them from Amazon because you can get like 2-day shipping and stuff. These are USDA certified organic. The problem with some mushroom supplements that you find online, especially if they come from overseas, is a lot of the mushroom farms overseas use a lot of like pesticides and chemicals and stuff like that. They're not really that good. You want to find them sourced from the U.S. primarily.
So what are you doing right now with your the whole mushroom thing? Because what are you doing right now with your business right now?
Yeah.
And we'll throw it up there or whatever. But it's what do you? I guess Are you a supplier? Or are you just an informer? What's the thing going on?
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very new. So I mean, it's this knowledge has been here for centuries. However, it's kind of come into the Western world over the last maybe 20, 30, 40 years. So it's still very new. So I'm focused on both growing and education. So Raps Caps is the name of my mushroom farm. It's a registered business in Connecticut. We grow culinary and medicinal mushrooms, meaning when I say medicinal, I'm talking about lion's mane and these kind of mushrooms. So oyster mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, lion's mane mushroom. We have I grow a variety of different oysters, which are beautiful mushrooms. But I also have a YouTube channel where I do foraging videos where, I go foraging in my local woods and we go and we find, we only really pull 2 or 3 edible foraged mushrooms from the woods because you have to be very careful. A lot of people do pull the wrong mushroom, and it can be liver toxic. You can die from these things. But I do YouTube videos. I'll do like educational videos, and then I've got fun mushroom merch. So like I'm wearing one of my Raps Caps hats, so little mushroom themed hats and stuff like that. Like just trying to promote the awareness and information on mushrooms.
What's it taste like, dude? Because I'm like
Well,
broccoli and throw some cheese on that kind of guy.
Yeah, but you can throw it in anything. Like you
Okay.
can you can cook it and do whatever. Like we just did like my wife just cooked like chicken like cream of mushroom. Did chicken with it and like baked it. Like it's just
Okay.
It's just like a topper to everything.
Yeah, mushrooms will take on the flavor of what they're cooked in.
Okay, I'm not a foodie at all, so like I'm asking.
Neither was I, and I want to be. I was the pickiest eater growing up. I didn't eat cheese. I didn't eat seafood. I didn't eat mushrooms. I didn't eat any of this stuff until like I learned about them, and I was like, oh man, like that's kind of cool. And these like more like gourmet mushrooms are actually pretty good. They're not like the button mushrooms, as the boring ones that you see at the store.
And you say it's rapscaps.org?
.com. Rapscaps.com.
Rapscaps.com.
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
For everybody out there, rapscaps.com.
Yeah. So I'm building. So I'm building on the site. Right now, the website you can find mushroom merch. got a different variety of hats. I thought it was kind of fun with mushroom themed hats, Raps Caps, like going with the hats.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a fun little thing. We got shirts. I've been growing over the last 2 years, primarily. It's a hobby, so it's like after work kind of thing. Like I'm hoping my 5 to 10 year goal is that this takes up more of my full time. But a lot of what I've been growing so far, we've been consuming, me and my family. I do have like a neighbor who owns a restaurant, and I live in Middletown, Connecticut, which is like it's literally in the middle of the state, but it's a riverside town, so there's a lot of good restaurants downtown. I figure maybe I can sell these people in the future. But what I hope to bring to the website is selling like dehydrated mushrooms that I grow, and then people can buy them. I'll ship them, and then they can rehydrate them at their house and then cook them with whatever meals you're going to cook them in. But they'll take on the flavor of whatever you're cooking it in, so it'll absorb the flavor. So a lot of people will use mushrooms in soups. You can saute them for like stir fries. I actually like just pan frying them in some butter, salt, pepper, and then eating them with like scrambled eggs and stuff like that are pretty good. One of the most desired foraged wild mushrooms that we forage for and we hunt for is like chicken of the woods mushroom, which is this
that's like
orange
thing,
and yellow, beautiful mushroom, dude.
Yeah, and I've heard this before.
It tastes like chicken.
Google this shit right now. Chicken in the woods.
Chicken of the woods, man.
Yeah.
It's this beautiful orange and yellow polypore mushroom. So it's like a shelf-like mushroom that grows off the trees, oak trees, and it peels just like chicken cutlets. It tastes like chicken. That's why it's nicknamed Chicken of the Woods.
It looks like pancakes. I love pancakes.
Yeah, so what we'll do with those is we'll make like little chicken nuggets or something and bread them and fry them, or like chicken tenders, or chicken cutlets, and eat them with like pasta or whatever. Very good. Hen of the Woods is another foraged one that will do. I do a lot of mushroom jerky out of that one. So I'll do like beef jerky, not beef, mushroom jerky. So really good stuff. Man. Yeah. So it's neat.
Can people buy it right from your website right now, or is it more like?
Yeah. So I don't have any of the dehydrated mushrooms listed right now for sale, but they could buy merch. You can buy hats. You can go there and find the YouTube channel, and then you could subscribe to the email list from there.
Is that a popular thing? Like a
dehydrated mushroom
jerky, jerky. Because I love jerky.
Yeah.
Think of all the guys deployed down range, and they fucking
should have brought some.
bunch of jerky.
I know.
It's eat some mushroom jerky.
It's new. It's newer, but you'll find more and more as time goes on. You can find a few products now like jerky and stuff like that.
Yeah.
However, it's still really new. So yeah, maybe not that much. I don't know. It's Etsy. What I found is like if you look for mushroom products online right now, you're going like Etsy and stuff. So it's really new. We're really early.
I got some friends who are like local foodie influencers. So if you ever want to send me some stuff, and I could send it that way so I could try it,
I would love that.
To pass it along.
I would love that, man. Yeah. So
obviously that seems like your passion right now. Is that mushrooms?
Yeah.
So,
mushrooms by night, Bitcoin by day.
Bitcoin.
And I'm just curious now too. Like, I'm not trying to force the conversation back to war, all that kind of shit. I'm just curious. So I sell T-shirts. I sell round T-shirts on the side, right? And I think a lot of that was fueled because of like I lost my sense of meaning and purpose after the war. I think a lot of it, kind of like you, like me, a lot of it is your natural inclination. You're just chasing your own curiosity. You get excited and you find personal growth in it. Reflecting back, any of this has anything to do with the war, you think? Who you are now?
Yeah, I mean, I think entrepreneurship plays into the infantryman, right? Like the infantryman is
shit.
the entrepreneur.
You gotta eat shit day and night.
Yeah, you have to you have to be the grunt, and you gotta deal with the worst conditions, and you gotta innovate your way out of situations.
That's
and,
a perfect fucking parallel.
It's like infantrymen are innovators. My experience was, again, like guys had to be tasked out to learn jobs that wasn't their job. Like Holmes wasn't a comms guy. I wasn't an EWO guy or an Intel guy, or you just got to figure it out because you're in that situation and there's no one else coming for you. I also think that there's an element of us that we're like higher risk. So we have a higher, we thrive that like
we could deal with uncertainty.
Yeah, for sure. So I definitely, I think that has my past with the infantry has definitely brought me into where I am today with Raps Caps, with the Bitcoin industry, with entrepreneurship, with separating myself as many standard deviations from the norm of society as possible. One of my biggest fears of life is like mediocrity. Like it's it is like, the average Joe, the average, puns intended, but the average person, it's we're different people. I totally believe that. And if you look at the statistics, what do they say? Like less than 1% of the population is in the military, and out of that less than 1%, how many are in combat arms or in the infantry? It's a small percentage of people out of everyone. So I really do think we're a different breed. We're a different breed of people.
Yeah.
In the like how have you felt, like your experience going into your entrepreneurship story, and kind of, do you feel the same way? Like, what drove you into what you're doing now?
Yeah, in a nutshell, I think it was just because of I was lacking a sense of meaning. Like my whole life was wrapped around like, I'm gonna do infantry, and within the infantry I'm gonna find my thing, whether it's like I become an instructor or I become a merc or I fucking make it a ranger bat and I make it a whole career. But it was all within the infantry. You know what I mean? And taking away my ability to run, I was like, well, fuck, I gotta find some meaning, and then the business give me meaning. That's all. And honestly, if it wasn't for that, I had no entrepreneurship in me. I don't give a shit. I really didn't give a fuck about making money and all that stuff that comes with business. And to a degree, I don't care about it. I like it now. I like what I'm doing. And I think there's growth, which is why I keep going. But it's literally born out of the pain of post-war.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of that pain's brought into entrepreneurship. It's hard.
Yeah.
You gotta you fail. Like that was what I learned out of my failed experiences with like the companies that I had tried to start. They were failures.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's
where you go.
That's just something
it's something that you go from.
Yeah, and you keep going.
And you build onto.
Yeah.
Like to an extent.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah. I mean, sure. I'm not an entrepreneur by any means, but I'm like more of like, when I do construction in my house, like I'm like that, like that's my thing. Yeah. Like I'll like do work in my house and like do that kind of stuff. And no, I definitely see what you're saying with all that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, so at a certain point, have you reached out to anybody, or is it more of a, hey, I'm good with myself. Doing this Raps Caps, doing this and doing that with your experience overseas, like, and I hate to go back to that, but like, it's kind of like maybe why we do this is like
it's
talk about this or whatever.
Yeah.
But hey, what's driving you right now, like, and how that experience like make it better, you know?
Yeah. So I'm definitely not in this by myself. That's something I learned is like you have to bring in other people or other like resources. You need other resources. I think that was like one of the learning lessons from my failures is that you can't do it on your own. So you have to build a team. You have to bring in people. You have to be resourceful. You have to be creative. However, I think from my past experience, I think like grit is mostly what it's bringing to now, you know, I mean, and what I'm doing now is like, I'm really kind of just taking a reset period, right? Like I went back to work because I had no more runway. I needed some cash flow. And I was like, well, I need to make some money so I can do this stuff like after work now. And I had this epiphany like at the end of 2020 when I realized I needed to go back to work. And I had this epiphany out of a Whim Hof session and a meditation session. I was just asking myself, I was like, what do you want to do, Joe? In my mind, I was like, what do you really want to do? Because a lot of what I realized is like, I'm not really a car guy and I'm not like a skincare guy, but I was doing this stuff. I was like, what do you really want to do? Why are you doing that? And all I said to myself was, I just want to talk about Bitcoin and grow mushrooms. That's all I want to do. Yeah. And it hit me. And then I was like, why don't I just get a job in Bitcoin and then grow mushrooms after work? And I was like, and it hit me. And then I started applying for jobs and I got a job at an exchange, a Bitcoin exchange.
Oh shit.
And now that produces income.
Which exchange?
Gemini.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Good for you.
So none of this is financial advice, of course. Going forward from here,
they're headquartered in New York, right?
Yeah. They're headquartered out in New York, and we have like offices East Coast, West Coast, and overseas. But yeah, so I'm in customer support, and because for me, it's all about educating and teaching people and onboarding people into this industry, because it's the most important thing I think humanity has right now. Going back to again the financial situation that we're in, you know, most Americans don't. There's not many Americans that are alive today that saw the last hyperinflationary cycle that happened in the early 1900s. There's foreigners that we know, people that live in other countries that have experienced hyperinflation: Zimbabwe, Greece, Argentina, Venezuela, that get it. They know their currencies have hyperinflated. We've had the privilege as having the reserve currency of the world since 1944, but history shows that reserve currency status changes every 100 years or so, and the dollar is going through that period right now as we speak. Yeah. So Bitcoin is ultimately what is going to save retirements of families. It's going to save wealth preservation, and I think it's going to save people from utter wealth destruction.
So I mean, I'm gonna stop you just because
he's at a maxi. He doesn't get it.
Yeah,
he doesn't get it.
I just don't get it, man.
Boomer.
I don't get it.
Fucking
like
boomer.
I'm like, all right.
Okay,
you need to read The Great Reset.
No,
that's it.
I got. So I have my house.
Boomer.
I have my house, right? I have my job. I'm doing stuff. I got 401k.
Yep.
You know, doing all that stuff. I got my pension eventually. Like
bonds.
where does Bitcoin fit into that? And what am I gonna like? Where do I start? Like that's kind of like the biggest thing.
So when I first start talking about the history of Bitcoin, we have to talk about money generally, right? In the history of money, we have to know how we got here today in order to understand Bitcoin. So, and this isn't talked about a lot. Like it's not. I wasn't taught this in school. I wasn't even taught this in business school from my undergrad and my MBA. I learned this on my own after the fact. It's crazy. So like, let's quickly talk about the history of money. So, right, money, we have the reserve currency, which we all know about today, which is the US dollar. The US dollar became the reserve currency in 1944 after World War II. So typically what happens is when an empire starts their existence, in this case, World War II happened. The U.S. was the world power. We set the rules in 1944. everyone, all of the world leaders came together in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire in 1944. And we said the U.S. dollar is going to be the reserve currency of the world because we're the main superpower that won the war, and that's just how it is.
We kicked ass. That's what you do. You buy oil, you buy in dollars.
And this has happened in past empires. Empires, ironically, so reserve currencies change with empires.
Yeah.
So if we look at empirical history and reserve currency history, they're in cycles. Every 100 years, there's an empire change. So before the U.S., it was Britain. Before Britain, this is over the last 500 years. So before the United States, it was Britain pre-1944. Before Britain, it was the Dutch, and then it was the Spanish, and then it was the Portuguese before that. In each of those 100-year blocks that those empires were existing, they had the reserve currency.
Yeah.
Okay. So the U.S. dollar was a reserve currency that started in 1944. At that time, our money was backed by gold. So gold, historically, for thousands of years,
was the thing.
Going back to the Roman Empire, right? You had gold coins. So 1944, dollar becomes a reserve currency. It's backed by gold. So it's backed by hard money. Gold, money itself is supposed to have like a value, fixed supply.
A one-to-one. A one-to-one.
A one-to-one, yeah. And its value comes out of scarcity.
But the value didn't exist after like 71. Oh, okay. 71.
So then that takes us to the next point. Yeah. So 44, 71 comes around. The dollar's backed by gold. Nixon takes us off the gold standard in 1971. That's when things really changed.
Okay.
So 71 happens. The dollar's taken off gold, arguably because we defaulted on our debt from Vietnam.
Yeah.
Which always happens with empires. They always go to war. They overextend the currency. They have to break it all away from its backing to gold so they can continue.
So right now, like the U.S. dollar is not backed by gold.
The U.S. dollar is backed by
nothing. It's illusionary. Yeah. We all believe
it's illusionary gold.
Yep. In 71, that's when the money system changed from a gold-backed currency, hard money, to what they call fiat money or government money.
And that's where Fort Knox like lost its whole.
Yeah, the gold, exactly. Yeah, like the gold in Fort Knox.
The gold reserve didn't exist after
that. We only believe the U.S. dollar has value because we all agree that it has value. Like the same thing.
That's obviously with any currency.
Right. That's the problem with fiat. You know what I mean? It's only given. A table is a table because we all agree it's called a table. Mm-hmm. It could be called lexicon.
Yeah, but so Bitcoin only exists because like how much is this worth?
Because Bitcoin actually works, but I'm not gonna jump ahead.
Yeah, so it's exactly like you guys were saying. So in 71, the dollar changes. It's no longer backed by hard. And this is why, by the way, when we talk to our grandparents, this has always been for me personally with my Italian grandparents is a joke because they say, when we were growing up, we saved our money and we invested it and we could buy these things. You kids these days, you spend your money and you don't know how to save it. And I'm like, Grandma, your money was worth more because it was backed by a fixed supply or a scarce supply. So theoretically, your money in the future was worth more and more and more if you saved it because there was a limited amount of it. There was only so much gold as you can dig out of the ground. 1971 happens. That is no longer backed by physical gold. It's just the supply of dollars after 71 was based off of the amount that the government wanted to create. How much of supply, and it's at that point it's based.
We should definitely do a part 1 and 2 to this podcast.
Yeah,
just so you.
Well, we could talk.
We're just trying to help you buy some Bitcoin. That's it.
Yeah,
I think that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. But the long story short is that like money happens in cycles. There's always a point where it's broken from its value. It's scarcity.
Yeah, agreed.
The government has control of it, and then they always create more of it, and so much more.
They create more cash, so it's essentially not worth as more. However, we think it's worth as more.
Correct. So that's where Bitcoin comes in. So Bitcoin was prior to Bitcoin being launched in 2009, it had been something that had been attempted in the 80s and 90s, and no one could do it. And then in the heart of the financial crisis in 2008, this anonymous people launched it, and they created what we call true digital scarcity. So a form of money that is not controlled by one entity, that has a fixed supply, that has value. So this is where, this is kind of where we are today, is that we have our money that is being devalued, the dollar, like the amount of inflation that's happening right now. If you have a savings account with dollars, your money in your savings account will buy you 20% less things than it would have last year. And that's going to continue to happen.
Yeah.
Whereas like the Bitcoin, it's got a fixed supply. So the Bitcoin will buy you more things going forward as dollars continue to inflate. So this is kind of where, this is where Bitcoin comes in. And it doesn't matter. Like a lot of people get caught up on like who created it, why did they create it? Arguably it was created as a response to fiat currencies and government corruption. But the important thing is that it's a form of money that cannot be manipulated, cannot be controlled, and that's a good thing.
It's a smart investment because like we're old enough to live through. I literally remember being in high school, being like, "Why the fuck do I want a cell phone where anyone can contact me anytime they want?" And then later it's like, "Why the fuck would I put my credit card into this internet where anyone can steal my information?" The world's evolving so quickly. Why wouldn't you just take a little bit of money and...
Do you have some Bitcoin on there?
Show me your Bitcoin.
My Bitcoin. Yeah.
Do you have a Bitcoin wallet
I'm
on there?
more into ADA. I put more of my money into ADA.
Right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I'll send you a little Bitcoin payment.
But no, I agree with you. Like even if you don't believe like it's gonna take over the world, we're all gonna spend money at Bitcoin. I totally get it, man. But if you look at it, people went from bartering, and even other countries. It was Venezuela. Their money was so fucked. They had to go back to the bartering system.
Yes.
So it was like, why wouldn't you invest a little bit of money now where the technology is fucking sound? It's backed by actual dollars because I put in $1, it retains $1. I mean, it fluctuates obviously, but you get my point. Versus right now, your money is just fucked because the government is constantly making more of it, so it devalues it. We're living the only time where it's like you could open a savings account and it's a negative account.
It's the problem with the existing financial system is it discriminates against people. So if you're someone that the banks don't deem as someone that they want to open an account with, they don't. So this is like homeless people. These are underserved communities. They can discriminate against you. And money is something that it's a human rights issue, right? You should, if you cannot save money and spend money, how can you expect someone to prosper in life? However, with Bitcoin, you can spin up a Bitcoin wallet with no information, or you can download an app that has a Bitcoin wallet with none of your information, and you can start sending and receiving it. El Salvador is the first country in the world that made Bitcoin their national currency. It's legal tender in El Salvador. I was just down there in April, and I'm going back down in November because they're the first ones that are leading the way on this. 70% of that country's economy relied on remittance payments back into the country. So their kids, El Salvadorans, would move abroad. They work in the United States. They send money back to mom and dad. Mom and dad get that money, and that's what they use to spend for groceries and utility. They're relying on those remittance payments. How are they receiving those payments in the past? Western Union, MoneyGram, right? These centralized authorities that would charge high fees.
3 to 5 days.
It would take 3 to 5 days. It's crazy. It's robbing the wealth of that nation. However, now they can open a Bitcoin wallet. They send a transaction that's received in seconds.
Why? Because I want to send you money. It's going to take 5 fucking days. Like, why? Why? Because the banks close at 8 p.m. I can't access my money.
I'm still not grasping it, all right?
Dude,
I'm not grasping it.
Put it this way. I mean, think of it back in the day. You saw the technology, man. It's like...
I know.
Remember, did you remember mini CD players?
Yes, I remember. I remember cassette tapes.
Right?
We used to record fucking like music on cassette
I literally was like, I'm going to Blockbuster. I'm gonna buy this VHS for $5. VHS is fine. Why am I gonna spend $20 on this DVD player?
Yeah. The important thing
I don't understand it.
The important thing to remember too, and like this is probably one of the last major points, is that whether people like it or not, this is where money is going.
Yeah.
It's no longer hidden. If you look at what the Federal Reserve Bank is saying in the United States or central banks around the world, they're creating central bank digital currencies.
Yeah, but what do I do with my IRA right now?
With your
what do I do right now
dollar cost
with my
average.
IRA?
This is where the financial advice.
Dollar cost average.
This is not
Yeah,
financial
it's
advice.
not financial advice.
You can
Not financial advice, all right?
if you wanted exposure to like Bitcoin or crypto, you can
Don't
get
take it out of my IRA.
you can get it in your IRA. So you can allocate a portion of your IRA to it. Fidelity, most of the IRA providers now, if you look them up at your bank, they're probably going to have connections. Fidelity was one of the first, but now all the
that's what
all
my
the big
IRA
players.
is at, Fidelity.
Oh, Fidelity.
Yeah.
If you have access to
So
Bitcoin in your IRA,
literally just be like, hey, I want to put this percentage into my...
exactly. If you're already accustomed, that's awesome, dude. Like you should, yeah. Seriously, Fidelity is actually one of the OG banks that got involved in it. But the point is that we're going there anyways. Like the U.S. is we're getting rid of cash. That's one thing that like this whole COVID and this whole the 2030 agenda and the World Economic Forum, the Great Reset. It is getting rid of cash and it's going into a central bank digital currency. So people are going to be forced to use these CBDCs, the digital dollar, the digital yuan, that function on blockchains, but the only difference with them is it's literally communism on a blockchain. It is an ultimate surveillance tool. I'm talking about a form of money where they can freeze your accounts, they can pull money from your accounts. If they deem you as someone that is someone that they don't like, they can so the Ice Road Trucker protests, right? Like these kind of things. Like if you donate to a campaign or a fund that they don't like, they can freeze it. We're going into this world where like people are going to be forced to use these kind of digital currencies. However, if you're going to use digital currencies, the alternatives like Bitcoin, which is decentralized, you can't control, you and I can send a Bitcoin back and forth to each other. No government can stop that. No one can stop that at all. We're going there anyways. It's important that people are aware of that and they know about these alternatives that exist. That's why I'm so passionate on it because, for me, Bitcoin solves a lot of the corruption in finance, a lot of corruption around the world, and the wealth confiscation. It's a big deal. Like inflation is a silent wealth confiscation. It's like, you talk to families in these countries that have high inflation rates, they work their entire lives. They saved for retirements their entire lives. And at the end of their life, they think they're good. Then they learn that, no, your money's all gone. How is it gone? The government decided to do that. So, that's why I'm very passionate on Bitcoin. I encourage anyone listening to this to look at them. There's many altcoins and there's a lot of cryptos now. Definitely research those intensely because there's just so many that
Too
people
early.
Yeah. For me, I look at it like, Bitcoin is like digital gold, a form of savings.
Yep.
These other ones do different things. Like Ethereum is like this distributed supercomputer. You can build dApps on it and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a new world.
Especially with the newest merge and all that.
Yeah, but it is important because we're going there whether we like it or not. However, once we get there,
Dude,
at least have the alternatives.
The world's adopting. You might as well, you know what I mean? You might as well beat it.
Agreed. All right. I agree with what you're saying.
You've already had a history lessons in so many different ways. It's like when the internet happened, it was like it's just the internet. Ooh, I could send an email.
Fuck you.
Ooh, there's a JPEG.
Fuck you, Terry.
Now
All
it's
right,
like
yeah.
look at the million different ways you can monetize, make money, interact.
Yes, I know. I was on
You know what I mean?
instant
That's what I'm
messenger.
saying. You're not like this
got you.
fucking 60-year-old man. You were there with
got
every
you.
changing
Yeah.
wave with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've seen the evolution of Blockbuster, Netflix. So how can you sit here and still point the finger?
I did not
at crypto?
say that I did not like crypto.
Fair enough, fair
I
enough,
just
fair
said
enough.
that I am not familiar with any of
Okay,
that.
fair enough, fair enough.
God damn it, Terry.
Call your financial advisor at Fidelity. Get yourself in there. But
It's gonna be
Dollar
like,
cost
what the
average,
fuck?
$5 a week.
What the
$5
fuck's
a
wrong
week.
with you?
that's
$5 every other paycheck or something.
yeah, dollar cost average. It's a good
Yeah,
strategy.
Yes.
like whoever bought fucking Times Square when it was like $1 an acre, good
Yes.
for them.
Yeah, you're right.
I
Yeah,
will-
if you can
I-
own
I-
a
I
square
will-
block in New York City, right, this
Yeah.
whole time, yeah.
Now it's a fucking parking lot. Every time I see a parking lot, I'm like, I wish I owned a parking lot. Fucking just pay me $20
Yeah.
every hour just to
Yeah.
fucking park your car.
Yeah, yeah. So,
All right.
so that's it, man. Hey, but
Get
yeah, man, maybe
get some Bitcoin, some mushrooms, and
That's
you're
it,
good to
bro.
go, and some breathing.
that's right, dude.
Hey, man.
And yeah, maybe in the future you guys have me back on once I get the breathing certification, tack P's up and stuff.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
What do you want to be on with?
Cool.
We'll make sure that happens, huh?
Yeah. No, I actually talked to
Yeah.
Keith recently.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, hey man, like I'd love to have fucking Joe, Costa, and you on.
We'll need another mic.
Joe Costa.
I got another mics back there.
And then,
there's another mic
Shit,
right
dude,
there.
we could do
But,
five. We could do 3 over here.
And my biggest thing was like, hey, 3 at a time is like a crowd. Like it just turns into a lot of stuff or whatever going on. But like, we'll get one version or the other.
Yeah.
And then, because I want to have Keith on by himself just to kind of talk about, his experience and everything. And then I think eventually we'll bring you all together.
A lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like an after-action review AAR with everyone.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
That'd be cool, man.
So, but I think we've been going for a while now. Like,
Yeah,
I think
we're
2 hours and
We're at
36
the
minutes.
2 hours
This is
and 21
this
minute
is
mark.
probably like
We've been
our
timing it.
longest one so
This
far.
is our longest one, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But,
I really appreciate you guys having me on again.
So everybody, so breathing,
Breathing.
mushrooms, and then Bitcoin. That saves the world.
breathing mushrooms, Bitcoin.
saw it
so
here
I gotta
first,
focus.
yeah.
I promise you,
10 years from now,
you will not be disappointed.
yeah, like we're historically correct. Like you should have bought Bitcoin.
I'm not so convinced yet. But
When in doubt, zoom out.
I like the breathing. I'll go with that for now.
There you go.
And then
Well,
there
you,
you go.
know what was most
We'll
important though? We saw me beat you in the breath hold.
Actually, I like you.
Yeah, I encourage you guys, if you want to learn more about those breathing exercises, you can go to wimhof.com. There's an app. If you want to buy mushroom merch or support me, rapscaps.com. The only social that I'm really on now is Twitter, J_Rapisarda. And you can find me there.
How do I spell that? How do you spell that?
J_RAPISARDA. Joe _ J_Rapisarda.
I'll definitely follow you.
Sweet, man.
Fuck
All right,
yeah,
Joe.
man.
Thank you so much for your time. Right?
Yeah. Hey,
Thanks,
Like,
again, boys.
Thanks for
Any
coming
last
on, Joe.
messages? Any messages you want to like send out to anyone in particular? Any of your teammates or anyone who's watching? Anything from the heart? Or
Yeah,
anything?
no, I appreciate that. For those out there that are having a real tough time, reach out to your battle buddies. It's everyone's going through their thing, and we're not alone. Check out those breathing exercises. The cold's important too. That's one thing I didn't mention, but one of my favorite parts about cold water is no matter what's on your mind, you get your ass into a cold shower. There's nothing you can think about other than that cold water, dude.
Yeah.
And it's like super therapeutic. Like I've been in some moments where I was like, I'm just going, I'm like, my mind, and I get into a cold shower and you're just like, and you can't think about anything else. And you come out and it's like, so get in a cold shower, do the breathing and, just keep loving and living. No matter how hard it gets, just understand this is a chaotic time, but it's one of the most, there's a lot of wealth that's built in these periods.
Yeah.
So it's one of the most prosperous times to be alive.
Hey, so just like one last thing with the so your Australian counterpart at the time. Like I know there's a lot of things going on. I've read some things about like the Australian like thing or whatever, and they're just not like, give or take with what's going on or what went on in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I guess shout out to them to like kind of figure that out.
For sure. Yeah, Dave, we love you, man. The vibes that I got out of all the content I saw is you're doing what you have to do because you have to do it. You're getting fucked over. Fuck the Australian government. And you can post that. I don't care. We love you, man. And we wish you the best. And one of my biggest hopes is that I get to see you again. He's getting screwed over, man. It's fucked up. So, I wish him the best, and I hope that he gets the support he needs.
Yeah.
They're trying to strip away all his support.
Well,
dude can't even walk right now.
Yeah,
crippled.
Well, hey, make sure you. I don't know if you get his contact or whatever it is, but try and send him this, and maybe something.
Yeah.
All right. Hey.
All right.
All right, boys.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers,
Till
guys.
next time, guys.
Appreciate it again.
Cheers.
Appreciate
Yeah.
you coming on,
Yeah.
Joe.
Thanks, Zach.
Again, check out rapscats.com.
Yep.
And
Till next time.
See you next time.
All right. Cheers, boys.
Peace, guys.